The Vatican, City of London, Knights of Malta. Do you think any of these groups have disproportionate power today?
Yeah, I would agree with Kurt's laugh.
President Trump is confronting a growing backlash from his own base.
The fight is dividing MAGA supporters.
Donald Trump, he promised them, so he needs to do it.
Just this month, we learned a very hard truth, that our government is not our government. It's controlled by deeper power structures involving systems of blackmail and compromise.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
I'm of course talking about the notorious case of Jeffrey Epstein, his handler, Ghislaine Maxwell, and their client list, the rich, powerful elite that he procured sexual favors for from unwilling underage women.
And on the wall, there was a big artwork of a woman being by a walrus.
Oh, wow.
I'm also talking about Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, Trump, and his whole team campaigning on exposing Epstein's network and then turning around and gaslighting the American public, acting like Epstein was a lone actor who took his own life in jail.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Just like you have the lone shooter theory with JFK, claiming that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. He obviously didn't. You have the lone sex trafficker theory with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody believes the state line here. And this time, due to social media and podcasts, nobody believes anybody else believes this. And it's not going away.
I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals.
Wired Magazine, a fairly conventional tech publication, just revealed that the metadata from Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell video that was supposed to point to his suicide had been edited, likely using Adobe Premiere. And when it was originally released, a whole minute was missing. Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail right now for sex trafficking, but there are no perpetrators of the actual crime. Who were her clients? She sex trafficked young women too. You have all these women, these victims coming out, but you have no clients. That's a basic logical fallacy.
Justice now is holding accountable the perpetrators that helped him and participated with him.
That is unbelievable.
Finally, Team Trump is doing something really interesting. They aren't just engaging in the typical political food fight. They could say that the FBI under Biden just destroyed the evidence around Epstein because Trump telegraphed that they wanted transparency. But no, they're acting like Epstein was some lone sexual deviant who isn't part of some larger shadow network that actively has leverage over American leaders. They're gaslighting and telling you to look away. And quite honestly, they're acting like they themselves are compromised.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful.
Anyways, like I said, everybody knows all this stuff. I don't have to tell it to you. What interests me and what we're going to cover on this show are the deeper threads around Jeffrey Epstein. What was he actually doing?
He certainly was not a financier in any standard sense.
Really?
That was a cover story, yes.
The thing with Epstein was he was obsessed with eugenics and creating his own race. Like he would talk about his own
egg-shaped
DNA.
dick people.
Yeah.
Like
so
that egg guy,
Right, so maybe...
To figure out what the hell is going on here, I brought my buddy Jay Anderson on from Project Unity. He runs a great channel that's gone deep into UFOs, secret science, and ancient archaeology.
Okay, because if they were taking eggs, they've got underground laboratories, right? I'm taken there in September. I think they've taken my eggs. They cloned a baby in 2002. No one ever hears about anything again.
Perhaps one of the lesser-known threads about Epstein was his obsession with secret science. More specifically, his obsession with gravity and propulsion. He would fly physicists out to his island, Kip Thorne, Stephen Hawking, Murray Gell-Mann. He funded Lawrence Krauss on the order of $250,000.
I desperately want to know why Jeffrey Epstein knew so much about my work. And I want to know why he was connected to my graduate program.
How did you know he was connected?
You can Google it.
But he was also obsessed with the Casimir effect, a scientific anomaly that might point to some form of zero point or vacuum energy, and if harnessed correctly, might unlock an entirely new mode of interstellar propulsion. On his little St. James Island, he built a temple with occult symbology, and one of his victims claimed to see a UFO while on Zorro Ranch.
I saw a UFO when I was there, outside at New Mexico. I went to have a cigarette and I saw a weird, lights flying, and then I had the weird thing waking up in the lab.
It was like he was a front, a global honey trap for secret science, arbitraging the lameness of modern academia and the sexual repression of its scientists. Perhaps the weirdest through line with Epstein when it relates to UFOs is the fact that former OSS officer Donald Barr was headmaster of the Dalton Preparatory School around the time that Epstein got his job as a teacher there. Remember, the OSS was the predecessor to the CIA. Donald Barr wrote a sci-fi book called Space Relations about a future where humans have formed an intergalactic empire ruled by aristocrats. Half the book is about this intergalactic elite class systematically trading underage sex slaves and often using them to gain leverage over other elites. Ring a bell? Donald Barr's son is a guy named William Barr, the Attorney General under Trump who personally visited Epstein's jail cell after he died to interview his last known cellmate, Efrain Stone Reyes, who apparently expressed skepticism around Epstein's suicide. Reyes died conveniently from COVID shortly thereafter.
This is the kind of stuff that gets you Epsteined.
There you go!
We discuss it all. Occult control systems, secret societies, mind control, Epstein, secret science, and we even bring our special friend along, Kurt Metzger.
The only guy who literally didn't work with the CIA is Steven Seagal. Hey, why do Disney kids turn out how they do? Well, Disney, the Rosicrucian that allowed the CIA to do stuff to them underneath Disneyland, and that's real.
Insanity ensued.
Maybe. There is a subterranean species that has lived on this planet for a long time.
Jay's expressed some frustration with UFO disclosure. He's also the only channel to interview a former director of the NSA and deputy director of the CIA on UFOs. But he's also more recently gotten into ancient archaeological secrets like acoustically resonant caves at Malta and skulls that look like gray aliens that they've found there. He's also as deep as anybody on the mysterious structure underneath the pyramids.
Was there a golden age of aerospace before our history started?
Without further ado, please enjoy this week's American Alchemists, Jay Anderson and Kurt Metzger.
It's cool, man. The ADHD in this room is real. Like, I've got it as well.
Today's episode is sponsored by Incogni.
At some point, you should try this. Google your full name, plus the city you live in. You'll probably be shocked at how many random websites are exposing your personal information. Everything from past addresses that you've lived at, to family members, to risk profiles you never agreed to. This data doesn't end up online by accident. It's collected and sold by data brokers, companies you've never heard of that compile your digital footprint and sell it to advertisers, insurers, political groups, and in the worst cases, scammers. Incogni is an amazing service that forces those data brokers to delete your personal info. They contact over 250 of these data brokers on your behalf, file the removal requests, and follow up to make sure it sticks. I personally signed up a while ago, and I still get regular updates showing which sites my data has been removed from. It works quietly and in the background, and honestly, that's the way I want it. No hassle or effort. And now they've just launched a new feature called Custom Removals, which is part of their unlimited plan. Here's the difference it makes. If you find your data exposed on any website, even if it's not part of their automated cleanup system, you can now manually submit that link directly to Incogni. Their privacy team will personally handle the removal request. You can do this an unlimited number of times. It's a huge upgrade, especially when your data shows up on these weird, hard-to-navigate sites like these. So take your personal data back now with Incogni. Use code American Alchemy at the link below and get 60% off your annual plan. Again, that's 60% off. Just visit incogni.com/American Alchemy. It's not paranoid to care about basic online privacy. It's protecting yourself from bad actors that can mess with you if they have your personal information. And if you're a fan of this show and into all these crazy topics, that's probably top of mind for you. We're linking this incredible deal from Incogni in the description. And now, back to the episode.
I'm here with Jay Anderson, Project Unity, I've been so excited to do this for
dude,
years,
I'm pumped.
man.
Like, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you in person, man.
In the flesh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've done some OG epic UFO-based interviews I want to cover. More recently, you've done some amazing kind of alternative. It's dumb that we have to call it alternative. It's just archaeological, ancient civilization, stuff. But for now, it's alternative. It will be the mainstream.
It's getting there.
It's getting
piece
there.
by piece.
That's
scan by scan.
That's right. So I really want to talk to you about what the fuck is under the Egyptian pyramid.
You tell me, right? Like, none of us actually know, but it's looking interesting.
It looks fascinating, and I feel like you're as close as anyone to the research team doing it. You were just with them at the Cosmic Summit. So thanks for being here, man. I appreciate
Most welcome, bro. It's a real pleasure to be out in Texas for the first time. Like I said to you, after this, I want to try and find a place to shoot a few guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is another person here that will be revealed in time.
They will be revealed.
It's a special reveal.
A special reveal. And I have a feeling this person knows where to shoot guns in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, maybe you can show me a place or two, brother.
But before we get started, I'm going to pull a Sean Ryan here.
Oh, okay.
And give you a special gift. This is our American
look at this.
Alchemy
Let's hold
cowboy
it up. Hold it up to the camera.
Shirt.
Hey.
There you go.
That is sweet.
Pretty cool, right?
Let's have a look at that. I love it, bro. This will be me on my next podcast. I'll be wearing it.
Dude.
Representing and respecting.
Let's go.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, of course. So yeah, man, I want to start with the UFO stuff because I feel like you did some really important early work on this topic, and people need to watch some of these interviews. You interviewed Oki Shannon, who was a lead project manager at Los Alamos.
Yeah.
But also was doing research with Hal Puthoff in this sort of vigilante capacity.
Part of the working group kind of thing going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're with a guy like that, because that was a great interview.
Yeah.
When you're with him offline, do you get the sense that he knows more than he can say, and that, like, because is there a sense that, like, there is a reverse engineering program and he just can't talk about it and there's some sort of undetectable dark matter there? Or is there a sense that, oh, you've kind of fallen prey to, like, the public narrative around UFOs, and actually it's kind of this other stuff that we don't quite understand? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you get the distinction there?
Oh, absolutely. Because, like, for me, especially kind of coming through this subject over the last few years, I will admit that a lot of it starts to feel like campfire stories, just sometimes campfire stories with a TSSCI clearance attached to it. So it's like, you know, yeah, that sounds amazing. But again, where's the evidence? Where's the actual, like, hard data for it? It's just a very interesting story from, no doubt, an interesting individual with an interesting background. But, you know, someone like Oki Shannon, I mean, he said to me a few things. He said that their working group in Los Alamos National Labs, it was kind of like an informal group because he was part of the, what was it, the theoretical physics group in the Pentagon, the ATP, I forgot the actual name of it.
Yeah, we should give the context for the audience, the Advanced Theoretical Physics Working Group.
That's the one,
and it's with Oki Shannon and Hal
John
Puthoff,
Alexander, and Hal Puthoff, like
Stubblebine.
Yeah.
All these guys who are kind of deep, you know, esoteric alternative physics.
Right.
But also kind of, you know, they have real credentials.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Army Inscom, Stubblebine, John Alexander, I don't know, I guess maybe Army Inscom as well, but maybe some DOE ties too, you know, a lot of, like, very intense kind of insidery types studying alternative propulsion.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, so you've got, like, this element where he was clearly involved in, like, maybe a formal, but certainly an informal part of his work was to look at the UFO subject. And he kind of looked at it as, he said that they concluded that they're interdimensional objects coming down into a lower dimensional plane. He attributed it to the book Flatland, where he said, you know, the idea of this spherical object coming down into a two-dimensional plane, you're only going to see a cross-section, a shadow of what it truly is. And he's of the opinion that describes a lot of the UFO phenomenon. But again, like, you know, it's like very interesting ideas, interesting stories, interesting claims, but I've yet to see any hardcore evidence either way for any of these things. And I think that's the issue that I've come to in the UFO subject specifically. And maybe that's what's promoted me to slightly transition out of it, although I do think that ancient history has a lot of connections and correlations to the UFO field. Again, collecting these stories over time is really interesting, but I just want further validation of what's actually going on with this stuff. You know what I mean?
Man. It gives you brain damage. It's a huge headache. And truthfully, it's a far cry a saucer and a hanger and some ephemeral interdimensional object are two very different things.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if these things are being, conflated, or if there are the thing is, I was somewhat skeptical of the crash narrative, actually. And then I just visited a crash site, and I don't know if you know Scott and Suzanne Ramsey are, but they're the deepest on the Aztec crash in 1948.
Oh, the Aztec crash.
And I thought that would be an interesting one to investigate, as opposed to Roswell, which is obviously extremely popular and in the lore.
Right.
And I came in expecting to be like, this is the bullshit element of the UFO story. And honestly, dude, I came out being like, I think there's stuff to the crash.
So what was it that piqued your interest the most?
We went to the crash site, and this is all filmed. The trees were like splayed out where a craft seemed to have been like drug through the thing.
Yeah.
And this couple, Scott and Suzanne Ramsey, have spent $600,000. And they're the most salt of the earth, like good people you'll ever meet. Like there's no like.
I think I did catch a Richard Dolan interview of them back in the day.
They're very close with Dolan.
Yeah.
And so spending that much time with them, then realizing that the story, like how the story came out, was this guy Silas Newton. They claimed that he was part of some like doodlebug hoax or whatever.
But Silas Newton was worth $20 million at the time.
Yeah,
which adjust for inflation, like it's
1950.
like that guy doesn't need to hustle people on a doodlebug oil thing.
No,
like he was very successful.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and then you have these FBI files on Silas Newton and Gebauer, going way back to the I think the 30s or something, and they're totally redacted.
So I don't know. I didn't come out being like I'm 100% sure, but it was eye opening for me.
Yeah,
I was like,
man.
maybe there are these actual.
I mean, I struggle with like the crashing of hyper advanced alien vehicles, maybe the disengaging through some sort of exotic scalar wave weapon system that we have or something like that. But I tend to lean towards that these are prototypes of our own work that are crashing and like happening all over the world, especially since it started kicking off. Like you said, Roswell, 1940s, 50s, Cold War, exotic energy, T. Townsend Brown, like all of these things happening, because you've covered so much of that. Fantastic work on T. Townsend Brown, by the way.
Thank
I
you,
absolutely
man.
love that deep dive.
I figure it's a hedge, right? It's like
Yeah.
if you're deep on the anti-gravity and then you're deep on the the UFO stuff.
Yeah.
Like one of them has to be right. The anti-gravity stuff would explain, right?
Right. I think there's definitely been an incentive to create a smokescreen and a perception that anything that's operating in the skies that's going against what we understand to be like the kind of like standard aerospace and aeronautical abilities is an alien vehicle. And I think that's a very convenient smokescreen. And I do think that, a lot of the talking points in this kind of 2017 to present day narrative from like, New York Times all the way up to now is trying to create this incentivization that it's actually all alien. We can't explain all of this. We don't know what this is. We don't have this in our arsenal. We don't have this in our weapon systems. And I disagree with that entirely. I think they absolutely do have it. So I think there's probably I'm convinced that there is some form of non-human intelligence interface, whether that's dimensional and kind of bleeding in, or maybe even terrestrial to this planet and hidden, or actually a space visitor from another planet. I'm open to all of that, but I think that there is definitely a case to be argued for a massive smokescreen of classified exotic energy.
Yeah, I agree with you
Yeah.
fully. One of the other, probably the craziest interview ever done in UFO space, not done by me, Ross Coulthart. I don't know if you know what I'm about to say.
I have a feeling.
Bobby Ray Inman, who was
Highest level dude I've ever spoken to in my life.
highest
Kind of
level
terrifying.
dude anybody
Kinda terrifying.
can ever speak to, and they're like, that guy ran the government.
I
for
have no idea
years.
why he agreed to do an interview.
That was remarkable. So he was head of the NSA.
He was head of NSA. He was
Deputy
head
director of the CIA.
CIA, DIA. I think the
Federal Reserve Branch in Dallas.
yeah,
or something.
SAIC.
SAIC.
Yeah,
he was at SAIC.
he
on the
was the
board.
head of everything.
Of everything.
Man. Like like the head honcho.
If there is a legacy UFO program, that
Bro
guy
knows
has his
it.
fingerprints
Dude is like,
all over.
well, yeah, like one of my guys is like a veteran in the U.S. Navy. Was like, he's definitely like MJ-12. Like, he's,
Yeah, he has to. If there is an MJ-12,
if there's an MJ-12, this
that guy's
motherfucker
on
right
it.
there is an
That's right.
MJ-12, right?
And I love the interview. The whole thing's hilarious because like you're doing this like autobiographical thing for the first like
You can
45
tell I'm warming
minutes.
him up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end you go, so
tell me about the aliens.
Yeah. You go, this UFO researcher Bob Oxler called you.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, we absolutely smoothed it out afterwards, but
Yeah.
he he did feel a little bit like he was brought in under false pretense.
Okay.
When I was doing some background research on you, I came across a fascinating little segment from a documentary. It was a segment of an interview that you had in 1989 with a man called Bob Exler. Do you remember speaking to a man called Bob Exler?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and during this conversation, he asked you whether you believed that the recovered vehicles would ever be made available for technical research outside of the military circles. And your response to this was, 10 years ago I would have said no, but whether time has evolved and they're beginning to become more open on it, it's a possibility. So obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like you're suggesting here that you're aware of retrieved UFOs being studied by the military.
No, the answer was no. I would not. We're not. Absolutely, we're no retrieved UFOs. I have high confidence.
Do you anticipate that any of the recovered vehicles would ever become available for technological research outside of the military circles?
Again, I honestly don't know. 10 years ago, the answer would have been no.
Yeah.
Whether as time has evolved, they're beginning to become more open on it, is a possibility.
No, I mean, like, I told him that I wanted to talk about UFOs, but again, the way that came about was another buddy of mine who was a US Navy veteran had an old number for him. And so we called that number and it went straight to voicemail. And so we left a voice message just saying, well, he left a voice message because it's easier for someone like that who's obviously got connection to him to speak on my behalf and just say, like, there's this guy who's really interested in talking to you. And basically, like, a week went by and we had nothing. And then my buddy was like, hey, he's messaged back. And it turns out that this phone number we had for him was an old phone that was, like, locked in a drawer. He just decided to check it on a whim. He hadn't checked it in years.
No way.
Yeah, I know, right? And he saw this voice message and decided to respond.
That's a crazy synchronicity.
That's why at that point I was like, this man's gonna say the truth. Like, you know,
Right.
this feels like it's
Meant to be.
aligned. Like, this is meant to be. Like, this is crazy. So I was like, you know, he was the only guest who asked, and it doesn't surprise me, for a pre-approved list of questions and talking points, like what we're gonna go through. So I was like, you know, obviously I need to mention the fact that I want to talk about UFOs, but I started off with obviously, like, you know, like his career background and geopolitics and national security of today and what he sees. And then, you know, at the bottom, I was like, and I want to bring up the, you know, 2017 UAP discussion and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I did say that, but I don't think he was expecting me to know about Bob Exler and actually have receipts and be ready to kind of come at him with, like, you know, challenges. And I have to say that, you know, with all due respect to the Admiral, you can see the body language shift quite profoundly when we move on to UFOs.
Oh, yeah.
You can see he's relaxed, he's talking, he's enjoying kind of reflecting on his career and everything, which is an incredible career. I mean, my God, this guy is just like, you know, up at the absolute apex.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we get into UFOs, even when I'm just asking the question, man, he starts getting tight. He starts bringing his body in. And when I asked him that first question, he was just like, no, absolutely not. No UFOs, none at all. Like, no way. And then a few times during the interview, which I think must have been him misspeaking, but it was kind of strange, where he kept saying, I am extremely confident that there is no other life in our galaxy.
I have a high level of confidence that within our galaxy, there is no other living life.
And I was like, you know, solar system would make sense, but he said galaxy like 3 times.
How can you be confident?
And also at the end of this, he said something along the lines of, I don't think I've given you what you were looking for, but I hope you'll listen very carefully to what I've said to you. So I have listened back and I'm trying to figure out what it was that you might have been like cryptically putting in, but this whole thing where he was like, there's no life in the galaxy. It's like,
we should send our audience off now to decode this interview.
Right.
The message Jay, if you find any sort of meta messages.
Yeah, because I'm fascinated in what he was trying to say. I feel like he was trying to put something down that I haven't picked up yet. So yeah, who knows?
Well, that
was wild. Yeah.
So wild. But the Bob Exler call is so just crazy and interesting because you hear Bobby Ray Inman say, like, you know, maybe at some point this will come out, like, but not now. And he's speaking so casually.
Yeah,
like
and there's a few like news clips of Exler going on the news and saying like, yeah, well, you know, someone said to him, you know, do you think that this could just be fraudulent and fake? And he's like, well, Admiral Bobby Ray Inman convinced me that these were flying saucers from an alien species, so I'm pretty okay with that. And it's just like, well, damn, man, like he's like reiterating this over and over. A few people have said that it was maybe, you know, misquoted from that documentary where you've got the recording, but here's Exler on the news a few different times reiterating that Admiral Inman made him like absolutely confident and positive. So
And Oxler seemed markedly more reasonable than a lot of UFO researchers. Like he himself was an aerospace engineer.
yeah, he was a
worked at
NASA guy. He was
AT&T.
a NASA specialist, I think, at some point in his life. And again, yeah, very calm-spoken, intellectual guy that was just being very matter-of-fact with it and just saying, well, no, I mean, from where I'm seeing, the Admiral essentially has convinced me that these are recovered vehicles that we're working on, and, you know.
And there's no way that you could be mistaken and it could have been an airplane, helicopter, or something of that nature?
Well, Admiral Inman convinced me that these vehicles were not manufactured by human technology, so that's pretty conclusive for me.
That's it. So, again, I think it's true. I wouldn't even go against the idea that there's been some archaeological finds from, like, you know, the old world. I mean, I'm diving into prehistory right now and getting into that, seeing so many anomalies that are so advanced and so contradictory to our models. You think about things like the Vimanas of ancient India and, like, you know, these stories that you have of flying chariots. It's like, okay, was there a golden age of aerospace before our history started?
Yeah.
Is some of that under the ground? I think even Grush talked about recoveries, right? The Italians recovered something back in the Mussolini
1933,
days.
exactly.
So like
the magenta crap.
I think there's a case to be said for like archaeological finds as well.
I think so too. Well, somehow it just feels somewhat arbitrary if UFO crashes only occurred 1947 and onwards because of nuclear.
And only in New Mexico.
And only in New Mexico. That feels like extremely anthropocentric or egocentric and nation-centric.
Right.
You know, there's a whole field of forbidden archaeology, which you're kind of diving into, which all this megalithic architecture. And I wonder if UFOs, aliens, and crashes are a part of that. I don't know, and I don't have any evidence, but it wouldn't make sense to me that there would be this stark dividing line where it just starts in the atomic age.
Well, it kind of gets back to, like, you know, where, like, how do you want to look at aliens from the ancient perspective? You look at theologic texts like the Book of Enoch, the Watchers, or the Anunnaki, or the Nephilim, you know, the ones that came down and slept with the women of men and made these, like, you know, hybrid species. It's like, okay, a lot of different texts speak about this in variations, but there's kind of a similar theme of giant beings or some other type of being that came and interfaced with us. So that's kind of like how you might look at it from the ancient perspective. And you see some of these megalithic stone building sites all over the world. It's like, okay, humans aren't capable, at least from our understanding of history and capabilities at that time, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So where does that? And especially, you know, not to get off on a tangent, but with the ancient megalithic sites like Stonehenge or other parts of the world, it's not just the engineering, it's the alignment, it's astronomy, it's mathematics. Some of them are even acoustically tuned to produce strange effects from reverberation. So it's like, it's a complex set of knowledge that is then globally represented all over the world. And that says to me that there was someone who really knew what they were talking about with a lot of different areas of science and engineering and astronomy that was putting this together and then inspiring people to do it all over the world. So whether that's an interface with non-human intelligence or just a completely different variation of human intelligence that we've long forgotten, I don't know. But there's a profound mystery there.
There's something else. There's clearly the primitive to progress narrative that we're being spoon-fed by, like, Steven Pinker and, you know.
BS.
It's obviously BS.
Yeah.
That's, like, obviously wrong.
Yeah.
And you don't have to necessarily, you know, wholesale agree with Eric von Daniken or something to say that, like...
Dude, even just taking, like, 1 foot off of the conventional path, you start going, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is not right.
Well, there's just no way some of this stuff could have been built. And so I think we have to, like, not necessarily cross the T or dot the I artificially, but, like, there's something going on.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
That narrative is wrong.
And it's kind of like, you know, it's like polar opposites of the argument, like the mainstream who are very reductive and in their little refined channel. And then obviously on the polar opposite, you got people who are like, it was absolutely built by the Nephilim. Or it's like, we don't know. We don't know that. But it's definitely a mystery. Like it hasn't been addressed. It hasn't been satisfactorily put to the side. And there's so much of that, like whether it's history or, you know, the anomalies in UFOs, like that's why I kind of feel like they're cotangent. They are connected together.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of influence in, you know, the wheels of Ezekiel and these incredible visions that people have had throughout time. If they had it today, that would be a UFO experience.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. That would just be part of the modern
There's definitely
lore
a presence that's been here throughout time.
Yeah, I think so too. Another guy that you interviewed, John Ramirez.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat.
A super interesting guy, former CIA.
Yeah, GS-15.
GS-15. And he's come out now, and I think on your show as well, saying that, like, he's sure we have hybrid programs, human-alien hybrid programs.
Yeah.
And that's the word that Louis Elizondo can't say, that everyone in the Pentagon is expecting him to say someday, is that we're all hybrids. Personally, I believe this is one of the core secrets. That's my personal opinion.
When you hear him say that, are you like, this is legit, this is CIA disinfo, what's your
middle ground,
take?
man? Like
Okay.
grain of salt. Like, you know what I mean? Like take everything with a grain of salt. I all respect to John Ramirez, and I'm not applying this to him, but something that I've definitely felt over the years of, being thrown into interfacing with people in the intelligence community is they're really good at becoming your friend.
Right.
When you've got an influential platform.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, sure.
Really good at becoming your friend. And they're very likable and they're easy to become friends with. But, again, it comes back to that thing of how much of this can be validated, how much of this has been evidenced. I'd say, like 0.1% of that, right? So, like, John Ramirez, super interesting guy. I think he's actually genuinely passionate about the subject and he's an experiencer. You find a lot of these people in the agency, like within the CIA, it seems to be a hallmark of like these guys who have got quite high up in the ranks of that particular agency is they've got like some weird ideas and
Super weird.
that's what they want, right? They want out of the box thinkers. So of course you're going to get people in these agencies that believe in all of that. But
you expect that. We'll get you
bring Kurt in for a minute. Come on. Kurt Metzger, I'm a big fan of this guy, so I'm so happy he's here.
This is how I dress when I watch Jesse's show.
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah. I can see that.
You're like a Templar. Of
Yeah.
Oh, that figures in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That figures in. That figures in.
It was funny. I actually when I met Eric Von Daniken, and I asked, on all these things, he was like super like, these crazy hand wavy theories.
Right.
And then I asked him about the Templars, and he goes, "There are secrets that I cannot talk about."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really, Eric Von Daniken? Like,
like a little
Word for it.
Little...
I have that antique shop.
Was that
right?
Eric Von Daniken has an antique shop?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about the Templars as well, in respects to Egypt, just a little bit of quick trivia.
Yeah.
Is that the Great Pyramid of Giza? It's 8-sided.
The Pyramid of Giza is 8-sided.
8-sided, very subtle, and it can be seen. It can be seen from above. But if you get an aerial of this at a certain point in time, you can actually see that instead of 4 sides, it's got these like indentations that create an 8-sided pyramid.
Whoa!
The Templar flag is an 8-sided pyramid turned into a 2D shape. So if you take the Templar flag and you create it into a 3-dimensional object, you get the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've interviewed a guy who is the modern Grandmaster.
I traveled
of the
through Egypt with him.
That's Timothy Hogan.
Timothy Hogan, yeah. Yeah,
you're plugged in.
Yeah,
Went with Sir Timothy Hogan.
I went. I was brought into the King's Chamber by him personally.
What's
So
his?
that guy's a real Templar.
He's a real Templar. Yeah, he's
Okay.
got his receipts.
Well, I
Yeah.
got some. Okay, well that's disturbing.
but don't you guys think if they're real Templars today, they wouldn't like dress up?
Yeah, no.
A like Kurt
Why
or
wouldn't
B
they?
like Timothy Hogan.
Well, I'm not.
They would be like these like subtle.
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, like it's like there's levels, right? Like
Egypto,
Kurt's at the
baton
bottom of the
Egypticus.
fucking barrel. With this.
When are you doing your
There's
Egypt tours?
Halloween costume level.
I'm
Dude.
Zawi Hawass. Did you watch Zawi?
Of course, I watched the supercut. I couldn't do the 3 hours.
It
I
looked
couldn't
like
do the
they
3
were
hours.
arguing over a carpet.
It was fucking insane.
Joe, that was probably the worst podcast he's ever done.
He said it.
Yeah,
like
he
the
said
next
it.
guest, he was like, "That was the worst fucking podcast."
Yeah. And Zahi goes at some point. The end, he's bombing. Zahi's doing so badly, and then halfway in, he goes, "I'm doing a speech in Houston."
Will you speak in Houston? Will you introduce me to the stage? He's like, "Fuck no."
It's like, dude, I'm busy.
I'm busy. I'm a busy guy.
Yeah, no, dude, it was like you're buying electronics
Right?
for 42nd Street
You know what's
from
crazy
Sephardic
about
Jews.
that is I guarantee you he still walked out of that studio going, I did
Of
a great
course he
job.
did.
I did a great job. I've nipped that in the bud."
Well, that's his job.
Yeah.
His job is to go and do
I
that.
won't lie. I'm like 50% nervous about going through checks in Cairo when I head out
better
there.
If
If I don't
you
come
should
back,
be.
bro, I'm gone. Like someone's taken me.
No, they'll just be like, you can't come in.
Yeah, well,
But don't think if you're on a major platform and you said anything. I mean, I probably destroyed it for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right.
But I mean, he sounded
They've
like
accepted my plane
electronic
ticket.
salesman.
I put my passport details in. I got greenlit, so I should be all right. But we'll
I
see how
worked
it
for the
goes.
Wiz when I was younger. You know, in my many astral travels.
Who's the Wiz?
Nobody beats the Wiz, the electronics store.
Oh, you worked for the Wiz?
Yeah, I was a salesman.
Oh.
You know, that's how I developed
And Hawaz felt like your manager there.
No, I was in Bricktown, New Jersey, but in New York where those stores, you know, you don't mess with the Zohan movie.
Right.
They
Yeah.
show it.
Yeah.
They're like, Sony Guts. Sony Guts. Okay? It's a very Middle Eastern bizarre way of dealing with things, and that's how they are.
You come, I show you. You're like,
Yeah,
"Okay, dude."
yeah.
Yeah, and he's like kind of sketchy. Like he sells
Kind
antiques
of.
on the black market. Like, but he literally profits off it.
I wouldn't be surprised. And you know what's interesting about Zahi Hawass is like back in like the 1990s, I want to say like 1992, he was giving a speech at a university in Cairo where he was like, there are subterranean labyrinths underneath the plateau. There are entrances from the Sphinx to the pyramids that
You
will
don't say.
tell us a lot more about who really built them.
said
And then 2 years later, he changed his tune and has never changed it back.
Okay.
So something happened.
So see
something
right there
happened.
was Zahi Hawass.
Also, did you know he was funded by the Edgar Cayce Foundation?
I was about to ask if you knew that.
Yeah, bro.
What?
Yeah.
So what's the
So
significance?
you know Edgar Cayce?
I know who he
He's like a
was.
very
Sleeping prophet
famous
Edgar
remote
Cayce.
Yeah,
psychic,
and he
yeah.
made all these predictions about the halls of Amenti and the lost records of Egypt. So the Edgar Cayce Foundation funded Zahi Hawass.
Wow.
So like he started off on this esoteric kind of truth seeker style funding and idea, and then I want to say about 1993, after that speech that he gave, complete change.
Interesting. You think somebody like got
I would
to him?
not be surprised.
Wait, hold that thought of Zahi Hawass. You can apply that to most of the people
Yeah, for real, bro.
that are like, why are you 180 degrees from the thing you said before?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's the reason.
Yeah.
They're compromised.
Yeah,
Somebody
they
They
got
don't gotta
got.
Yeah, you don't. It doesn't have to
Exactly.
be blackmail. It could be. Well, how about I make you rich? Silver or lead is the
Yeah,
great Pablo
yeah,
Escobar.
yeah.
Right. Right.
Plato or pomo.
If someone's telling you real info, okay,
Yeah.
and you're talking about it here, listen. If you ever remember Gary Webb, the guy that knew the CIA brought coke into the hood.
Yeah.
So the old black guy conspiracy that I was dismissive of, they be putting crack in the hood.
Mhm.
That's exactly what they did. And you know how I know they did?
How?
Because the reporter that reported it shot himself twice in the head.
Hey, yeah. It
How
happens, right?
tragic.
Yeah, it happens, right?
You look so ridiculous.
Well, listen.
If you wanted to stigmatize all the
Kurt
shit
Metzger,
you're
everybody.
saying.
No, I want to make it clear. Listen, I'll make it clear. I'm not a journalist. I'm not in the space.
But you kind of are. Well, Kurt has a crazy story. We will get back to.
No, it's cool.
No,
like,
dude,
we're
like,
doing a survey
you
level.
know some shit. I'm
like I
happy.
said, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
So, by the
fully
way-
pumped to have Kurt here. I
Well,
love this guy,
you know,
so,
Kurt
like,
doesn't remember part of his childhood because he was in the gifted and talented education program.
Dude, it's just smart kid classes. It's fine. And now I know a lot of esoteric stuff. It's not a
Oh,
big
you
deal.
were in the same. Well, they're
Well, do you think
teaching you
that-
remote viewing and all that kind of stuff.
I have no idea. I don't remember a single part of it.
Damn,
My
bro.
brother and sister in it. I asked my mom to like.
And now he's super
From,
deep.
from what
on
ages? From what ages?
I don't
No,
know.
but they don't. Your parents didn't tell you.
My mom don't remember. If your parents, they go, hey, your son's got high IQ and you're going to be gifted and talented, you think your parents give a fucking shit? They don't. They're like, whoa.
Where'd you
Everybody's
grow up?
conditioned for a pat on the head in this society. That's the occult prison that you live in. So you go, oh, I'm an expert. Yeah. Right? That's how kindergarten, you know, the Prussian school that we use for some reason?
Yeah,
it
right.
is
Right.
Prussian.
Fuck you think that is?
Yeah, that's weird.
Is that normal
That is
to you?
weird, actually. Like, why do we have that?
Because at age 5,
we don't call it that in the UK,
Yeah.
but it's
oh, it came from. So we have a lot to thank the UK for here in this country, certainly. Definitely you do. But our entire schooling system is designed to compartmentalize you
right
out of the gate. I mean, and I'm not telling you any esoteric secrets. It's written down
Of course,
openly.
yeah, absolutely.
Because it was the Prussian miracle. So they sent people from all. How did you get such control over your citizens? Because this guy found out that 70% of the troops, I always thought those old timey guns didn't really shoot straight. No, 70% of people don't pull the trigger. They miss on purpose. This is a problem.
Right.
How do we fix this? Oh, you're with mommy and daddy too long. I got to get you before that third brainwave you get that tells you what reality is. 6 is too late. Me and Rogan talked about it. Joe went at age 6. It's too late. You've already been imprinted with mommy and daddy.
Wait,
now.
he did
Joe did it as well?
Education?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about kindergarten.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay? I'm talking about if you go look into how we got our school system, it's real. It's real weird. And the goal is to, so here's 20 years ago, pre-K suddenly became a thing. In New York, you got to go to pre-K because outcomes are better for kids that go to pre-K.
Wow.
I didn't go to pre-K. My mom taught me to read at home and I went to kindergarten. Why is that so important?
Yeah, man.
Because it's not working. We got to get you away from mommy earlier so that the government can get its dick in
break
your
up
brain
that family
early.
dynamic. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so here's some esoteric, real esoteric. And I just discern this like a regular manly pee hole. You got a right, left brain. So you watch these secular materialist scientists.
Yeah.
Your Mike deGrasse Tysons and what have you.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Whatever,
yeah.
nerd.
You just mashed up Mike Tyson.
Well,
Now that'd be a sick combo.
It would be a sick
that's
combo.
Fighting physicist.
I prefer Mike personally. I think he does more.
It's called
about,
steganography. Shout out to DJ. Okay.
Dark journalist.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because the Octagon thing I got off of him and Joseph P. Farrell.
I'm trying to get an interview of him. I love Joseph P. Farrell.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
he's
that guy blew my mind, dude. And here's what's so funny about watching, because you're hitting on a bunch of. I've seen your show. You guys hit on some good points.
Thanks, brother.
How old are you though?
30.
How old are you?
33.
Okay, so you're still at the age before you figured out the scam yet. And by the time I'm 48, finally old enough to serve in Ukraine. And when you figure out the scam, here's how it works. Fuck you. You're 48, motherfucker. The 30-year-olds still believe. There's new suckers for the thing.
Believe in what?
Believe in the whole thing. So now all this UFO shit, what blew my mind was when I looked into it, it turns out a bunch of this stuff's been disclosed over and over and over, like the wheel of Samsara.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
Ad
for
nauseam.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, but what you don't realize, so then you're like.
But then what's the deeper truth? Like, because I'll watch Dark Journalist, and like, it's like ASMR for conspiracies that never resolve. He goes, do you know about this? You know,
you're in that same space. Mystery School.
I'll talk about it's
J.J. Abrams' mystery box storytelling.
Okay.
You remember J.J. Abrams' mystery box method? He does a TED Talk about it.
Right.
Okay. Basically, the show Lost and Scientology are the same basic
mystery
thing.
box. Sure.
You stick with it and get invested.
Yeah.
And and then you get a shitty ending.
Well, that's another thing is the influence of Scientology in the UFO community, because there's a big presence of like that
CIA
belief system.
cutout, friend.
Exactly.
How big do you think it is?
Scientology is the CIA.
How big do I think?
Yeah. How big do you think?
Well, I mean, like, you know, they infiltrated the CIA and a few different agencies.
Infiltrated the
Operation
IRS.
Snow White. Yeah, exactly. Multi-agency infiltration.
Kurt, shut up for a
Multi-agency infiltration.
What's
my wisdom has
it's
been
cool, bro.
overflowing today.
It's cool.
It is. Truly. What's Operation Snow White?
So that was when they did that huge like infiltration of multiple agencies, including the IRS, CIA, with an incentive to try and promote psychic research and these types of ideas and prevent them from kind of stopping it.
Tax-free status.
Yeah, and it was. You don't know about this?
I know about the fights with the government around.
It was like the biggest infiltration
I've heard
of the
of Operation
government.
Snow White.
It was wild.
But how like prevalent was it? Did it work?
I don't think. Well, they got caught. They got caught, so
Okay.
I don't think it fully worked, but it worked for a time. Like, you know, they managed to create influence, and obviously they're very powerful. But I think that there's like genuinely a thread of ufology that comes back to obviously Scientology. Go a bit further back, Helena Blavatsky, Theosophy, the Esoteric school.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people in government, because when you actually get to know them or you find out more about them, you find out that beyond the tight suit and the bureaucracy is a esoteric person that's into like the OTO or Golden Dawn or whatever,
exactly
right?
right.
Yes, brother. So like, you know, I think that what they're trying to do, at least in my opinion, and actually the guy that you wanted to hear more about, my friend who was speaking, he'd be able to tell you a lot more. He believes, and I would agree, that there is an element of the government that's quite radical, that truly believes in some of these old esoteric systems, and they're trying to essentially manifest the UFO reality into the world by creating a consensus of it, right? So they're creating this narrative, they're creating this push.
Like an egregore.
Yeah, like an egregore, because it's just weird how, you know, you tap into these guys who are like, you know, bureaucrats and national security, and then you find out that they've got like, you know, talking points from OTO and Golden Dawn, and they're drawing pentagrams, and they're showing you the alchemist triangle, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like
Cabal Brown, who just came out through Cabal and Knapp, who's this guy, Immaculate
showing his
Constellation.
Enochian mathematics and shit like that,
you see that? Okay, so here's how I got into my deep esoteric knowledge. I was I was watching the Charles Hall Tall Whites documentary.
I just interviewed him.
He's alive?
Yeah, he's alive.
I have a lot of questions for him. But it's fascinating.
He's a trip.
A couple of the guys that were with me who had seen them thought that they were ancient Egyptians who had somehow or another gotten into Indian Springs Valley and trapped there, and were still using their own hieroglyphics.
Who thought that?
A couple of the other range men, yeah.
So here's if you never seen
a wind-up doll. It didn't make sense. That was weird.
Oh, I think I have some theories. So Charles Hall. Now, usually when you hear UFO stuff, it's like some goofy like Star Trek shit,
right?
And this guy, he made a real specific point that they're not here to save the whales. In fact, the Tall Whites told him they think it's unusual that we like ride horses and live. Like they said on most of the civilized worlds to him, the dominant species kills off anything that could be a threat to them.
Wow.
You ever hear anybody talk that way when they talk about our space brothers? I haven't. The way he described it, it sounded like we're Guam or something.
Right.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, if you talk to him, he's got a real aw shucks, but you just picked up on something with it. That guy's got a nuclear physics degree, so don't be fooled by country dumb. As soon as I'm watching, I'm like, so I'm laughing when I'm first watching because they're called tall whites. We're as strong as gorillas compared to them. That's a detail.
Right.
If you touch one of them, they'll kill you.
Very weak bodies.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute. I've heard this before. You're telling me there's taller, whiter things that are that are doing the old British style? They show up and wear little ugly, like B-style monsters.
I'll take
when he tells the story, it sounds like we're a Raj from the colonies.
Yeah, right.
So all I do is look for themes. Like Diana Pasulka, I think she made this word up, mythemes, but I like it. That's the Legos the stories are built out of.
Right.
And they repeat. So I watch everything, man. I don't just watch, like I'm on a news show. See, and I notice with everybody that follows this stuff, just the idea that you're wondering if the intel people are going to, that's because you're compartmentalized.
Right.
Remember Eric Weinstein? I don't know if he was with you on that video, but on Rogan, he goes, don't tell me it's compartmentalization. Why would I not tell you that?
Right.
Do you understand the pyramid structure that we seem to be obsessed with?
Well, the ultimate compartmentalization would also be
your brain.
These occult sort of, compartmentalizing a person.
Yeah.
And like there's a Terrence McKenna quote that I sent you. That's like,
I love that guy.
Amazing, right? And you've done some
I think
awesome
I've absorbed
videos on
every lecture he's ever done. He like haunts my brain.
He's incredible. And he says, a secret is not something that isn't told, it's something that cannot be told.
Right.
Which is like, that's the ultimate, if you want a control system or something, like that's the best way to create it.
What do you think the Templars got from their journey to meet with the old man of the mountain?
They got some shit, that's for sure.
Let me throw out a goofball hypothesis of mine.
Okay.
That I got after Rogan told me intel people told him China was injecting their kids with stuff to raise their IQ.
Right.
And immediately I know we did way worse than that automatically because China did it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now we got 1 in 32 autistic kids.
That's wild. The rate.
Oh yeah, I wonder how that happened.
Insane. Yeah, it's insane.
Okay, don't attribute to malice what you contribute to incompetence. No, it's malice, my friend. And okay, let's look at what are the features of autism. Okay.
Hyperfocus.
Yeah. Hyperfocus. Weird about sex. In fact, you could program them and tell them what gender they are, and they'll believe it. Chris Chan, the inverted Christ, is that. If you ever heard of Chris Chan.
There go our sponsors.
Are you sponsored by Sonic Jew comic books?
I think we don't have to be sponsored by Monsanto to get them pulled for this episode.
No, you don't understand. They made these. They love all the products. No matter how bad you cock up Star Wars, they're going to watch it and tears will form in their eyes that a new Star Wars came out. They buy those stupid vinyl bobblehead, whatever the fuck people buy. They're the perfect consumer.
Kurt.
The goal laid out when they invented kindergarten.
Who hurt you, bro?
Literally the entire system I'm in.
It sounds like something real.
I went to kindergarten.
Beef.
Also, I was in Gate.
All right.
Well, he was in. So this is interesting.
But I don't remember nothing about. I'm not accusing him of nothing.
You have Jake Barber coming out talking about gifted and talented education
He did?
program.
Yeah.
He talks about it also in the context of Skywatcher and these sort of psionic assets. It seems like the Stranger Things kind of narrative might be more real than we realize.
It was called Montauk originally, and there is a girl that was 11. Did you know that?
No, that's a real person.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff. So I sent you the link. They admit
you send me too many links to go through. I cannot.
Well, they've already got you because you look. Here's what when you said ASMR. This is why.
Yeah.
So Nathan Reynolds is who referred me to Dark Journalist, and what I love about it is I don't care about your production and all that other bullshit. I already feel that's a layer of occult between me and what I want to know.
Right.
Sure.
So and Dan's productions are low. He's holding up.
Yeah.
That makes me trust him more. You know,
I hear
makes me
you.
trust people less.
Yeah.
Good production.
Right.
That makes total sense. But I want him to map it out a little more clearly. Sometimes I'm like, there's not. I don't know if
That's a
there's a
very fair
there
statement.
there.
Okay,
man.
that's
I
very
will.
fair.
I'll listen to the whole thing and I'm like, what happened? I don't
So-
really like. I'm with you guys
You
on
gotta
all
watch
the
everyone.
interesting esoteric.
Yeah, you got to
threads.
watch
And
everyone.
look, all you gotta do.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
a fucking mystery box,
Yeah.
bro. You're just saying it now.
Okay, no, here's why. You can lie to me if you want. I don't care if you're an intel guy. I don't have nothing to hide, and I don't give a fuck. So go ahead and lie, whatever. I'm going to get data off you either way.
Right.
Because I'm going to figure out why you're lying to me.
Well, to be honest,
And
like,
it's built in the lie.
Well,
usually.
that's why the move in this space is like talk to everybody because
Yeah.
I think you.
No, it
you-
isn't. It's not. They want certain people, and I want to talk to people you can't talk to. And
Who would you talk to if you? could
okay,
talk?
my friend Emma has a show called Imagination Podcast that was on YouTube about MK Monarch, which the link I sent you has been acknowledged. I didn't know that. I'm obsessed with it.
Tell the audience what MK Monarch.
MK
Well,
Monarch,
that's one of the successors to Ultra.
Right.
Your King Charles has that little button.
Yeah, little butterfly.
He's in his portrait
Dude,
in hamburger meat.
That portrait is one of the fucking scariest looking things I've ever seen. It's just like
Yeah.
crimson blood. Like the whole thing is
Looks
just
like
red.
burger meat.
So
It's
weird.
freaky, dude. And
But
then,
a
like you
little
said,
monarch.
little monarch butterfly.
And
Yeah,
him
yeah.
and Lord Mountbatten
Yeah.
and Jimmy
man.
Savile used to all hang out together.
Oh, yeah.
And they
Oh,
all
yeah.
had special black berets made. Now, that's not in the military there. That's a special unit
Yeah.
of just the three amigos.
Dude, Jimmy Savile was so influential in the UK that he was spending his Christmases at Chequers, where the
He's a
Prime
wizard
Minister
like
would
me.
spend it, and he would go in and out of
Who is
Buckingham
this guy? I don't
Palace.
even know who this
Jimmy
is.
Savile, he was
Yeah.
a BBC presenter, very famous, and he's the most prolific sex offender
yeah.
and child sex offender in the UK history.
You know his victim age?
He was never caught during his time. It all came out after he
Yeah.
died.
Whoa.
He had written. Do you know what had written on his gravestone? You know that?
Well, I
On his
forgot.
gravestone, it was fun while it lasted.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, but did you notice with Jimmy Savile? Now, at the time when I saw this story, I didn't realize that he was like a wizard.
Right.
But then his charity, because they didn't know. It's like,
Dude, he had a spare key to a child's hospital. He would like live there.
That's
It's
what-
insane. Like
A hospital?
yeah, he had a spare key, and he would live on the
never heard of
ward
This is a true.
of it's
just
a true.
a
This is all
demon.
true. He was a demon, an
Yes,
absolute
sir.
demon. Like
Good friend of King Charles.
If any of them exist, this motherfucker is a demon, and he was good friends with him. He
No
would go-
punishment for
he
the
could,
BBC
he could,
people.
He could waltz into Buckingham Palace like he owned the place, man. And then you fast forward, and you've got Epstein and Andrew.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
patterns.
Oh,
Patterns
And then
tell
isn't
stories.
there like a photo of Kevin Spacey at,
Oh, yeah.
at Buckingham Palace?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kinda
yeah. And then
weird.
Rolf Harris did the
Yeah.
Queen's painting. He's a
Mm-hmm.
pedophile.
What do you get? What
So
this is
like-
insane. What do you guys think of this Cash Patel going on Joe's show and being like,
So here's
if I
what
would
I
have,
heard.
I've
he
heard
goes-
your opinion.
He
I
goes,
wanna hear it
Epstein killed
again, man.
himself.
Like,
He goes,
this
Epstein
guy.
killed himself.
Hey, number
And then
one.
they have Dan Bongino
Such
next to
bullshit.
him on other interviews.
Coming in his
Okay,
sportswear and telling us what.
first
to
of all,
think
number
of it.
one.
Athleisure.
Yeah.
I want to make this clear because this is how occult fucking projecting yourself magic works. First, you reframe the argument wrong.
Yeah.
I don't care if Epstein killed. We're not looking for justice for Epstein.
Right.
Okay, so first they keep it on that to trick you, right? Now we're not even talking about why are all the people that went there still in power?
Exactly.
Hey, Trump's in now.
Right.
Hey, I remember QAnon. Where's all the arrests? Where's all the whatevers? Then I'll watch UFO shit and they go, oh yeah, they actually executed these people on the moon. Right?
But
and
then
psyop
you got like,
time.
and then you got like the discrepancy with Pam Bondi saying there's thousands of pages. They got all this evidence.
Yeah,
Patel
yeah.
saying this, and it's like, whoa.
Oh,
this is
I
a
forgot
massive,
Iran.
Like,
I forgot about that.
What's going on here?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
you
so
know,
wild. Yeah, there's a clear discrepancy there. And then it's like, it's just, if you zoom out, it's so obvious that this was this compromise gathering technique
Blackmail
in order
operation.
to blackmail
Absolutely.
operation, in order to
Yeah.
control things at the highest
it makes sense. It
level.
makes
So
sense.
Like, who are they blackmailing? That's what we want to know. I don't care about the list. His client list is like, it's Israel, but whatever.
I kind of wonder if, like, the Elon Trump thing, I don't know. Like, I wonder.
believe Elon more than Trump because Elon's black guy and his. Now, I watch people say this. I can't believe how stupid this is. Oh, he must have been on ketamine and he rage tweeted. Is that what ketamine does? The horse tranquilizer.
No, you have to believe that Elon believes that Trump was
for
on
sure.
the Epstein list.
For sure.
Yeah,
It was
no,
interesting
He said
that
files, and Trump is. We know that already.
Yeah.
Elon gave us no new information. He threw out a shot, but he didn't reveal anything. Trump is in it. Everyone who's in charge is in that file.
But that's the thing.
Doesn't mean they did it.
Exactly,
Okay?
because, Epstein was like such a powerhouse in the financial sector that, it's going to just be a given that people will interact with him in that world without
Look up
ever
Louis
touching the
Black.
sides of what he was
Yo.
doing in the background. You know what I
Dude.
mean? Like,
Tuesdays with Stories, Mark Norman, Joe List show. They probably won't appreciate me promoting it because it'll probably be bad, but Louis Black was on and blew the whole thing wide open. I've tweeted it. I repeat it all the time. Louis Black went to Epstein's mansion in New York with Bobby Slayton, my buddy from doing the Nasty Show.
Right.
I know that Bobby and Louis Black are not doing a thing. He was an influential New York billionaire in the biggest house in New York. That's crazy rich. Okay? So, yeah, all right. I've gone all kinds of, dude, I met all kinds of people from this. Yeah. Louis Black's story is so interesting. He walks in the door. There's a marker board where they go in, and it looks like football plays or something.
Right.
And Epstein goes, yeah, the defense minister of Israel was just here. We were just going over defensive ideas. And Louis Black says in the video, look, it's on my Twitter, look it up. He goes, he got so creeped out. He goes, first of all, why the fuck was that guy here?
Right.
Why would he talk to you about it? Why are you telling me this?
Right.
Wasn't it documented that Ehud Barak and Epstein?
Oh, yeah, they were picked up.
And Bill Richardson.
Yeah.
Bill Richardson, New Mexico governor.
Yeah,
and
you talked to the New Zealand woman.
I did, yeah.
One of the victims, right?
Yeah, Juliet Byrant, I think her second name is.
And what did she have to say?
Well, she got brought in as a young model. Like, she was trying to start off her modeling career, and she got introduced to them, and flown out to the island, and from there it was kind of like you can't go anywhere, and you're now a prisoner. So she was very quickly brought into that, not as a child, but as a young model. Right.
And on the wall there was a big artwork of a woman being raped by a walrus.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll share it with you if you want to share it. The scary thing is that it's not really a painting. It looks more like a photograph. And the girl's lying on a glacier, and she's got like ECG things here, and she's being basically raped by a walrus.
And she, alongside some of the other women, think that they were actually harvesting their eggs.
They were?
Like Zorro Ranch, where they were trying to... Yeah, well, the thing with Epstein was he was obsessed with eugenics and creating his own race. Like, he would talk about his own
egg-shaped
DNA.
dick people.
Yeah.
Like
so,
that egg guy,
Right, so like maybe... maybe he was doing something along those lines with people like that. She certainly felt that way.
Okay, because if they were taking eggs, they've got underground laboratories, right? So then 1996... they cloned Dolly the sheep. They cloned a sheep. 1997, Bill Clinton banned use of federal funds for human cloning. Apparently, in 2002, they cloned the first baby, Eve, in December. So, right, I'm taken there in September. I think they've taken my eggs. They clone a baby in 2002. No one ever hears about anything again. It's all on 60 Minutes or BBC, one of those things. They were all talking about when a human's going to be cloned. Suddenly, it shut down.
I mean, someone like Epstein seems like he was very multifaceted. Like, there's an element to him where it was like almost like your primary objective is compromat, right? Primary objective is to do that. But then he's using his money, and he's like, I'm going to create a race of my own people. It's like this dude.
Why did he get
crazy?
Well,
crazy.
I wonder if because. This is a full schizo right now.
Oh yeah,
but like,
let's do it.
So Charles Manson was probably an MK Ultra patient.
Oh yeah, I would
say definitely.
So definitely, right? You
Nicholas
have
Shrek maintained him in prison.
Tom O'Neill Chaos, and you have Jolly West, who's like running this thing. Had probably an office at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic where Manson was always going. And then you have this kind of conversion of Manson from this kind of petty criminal to the sex god kind of cult leader or whatever. So there's tons of evidence there. Here's the trippiest thread of the Manson thing that connects with Epstein. That's so weird. So Manson would carry around a book called Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein.
Did you read that?
Sci-fi bestseller.
No, I did.
1968. Great book.
Yeah.
So he would carry this around, but Manson was illiterate. So, and then he models his whole life off this book. His son, he calls Michael Valentine or whatever, who's like one of the characters in the book.
Right.
Jubal, Roger Smith is his parole officer. Jubal is the protector in the book. He calls him Jubal.
What?
He tries to start a race war, which is what they're trying to do in
the whole
book or whatever.
Helter-Skelter thing.
Wait,
exactly. Helter-Skelter, yeah. So,
oh my God.
So, okay, but just fucking listen for a second. So this is what's crazy. Donald Barr is the headmaster of Dalton. He gives Epstein his first job at Dalton School, which is in New York, this prep school or whatever. And his son is William Barr, who's the attorney general under Bush 41 and under Trump, who basically obfuscated fucking justice to get Epstein, out of trouble. So Donald Barr writes a sci-fi novel called Space Relations.
Okay.
And this is really, it's about
new to me. This is new to me.
This is so nuts.
It's about. I read it.
Right.
It's so
unreadable almost.
It's almost unreadable, and it's about this like human traveling to like an extraterrestrial planet, and he is sold as a sex slave.
Okay.
Why is he going though? Do you remember why he's going?
Why is he going
To
again?
negotiate with the rulers of the galaxy.
The rulers of the
to
galaxy.
end slavery.
Oh man,
That's right.
He just becomes a fuck pet.
Yes,
That's
and then
sad.
he becomes a fuck. But how weird is that?
Yeah.
Is that not so strange?
Exactly, like the connection.
Maybe some MK Ultra thing going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
I think so.
What you just said about Stranger in Strange Land that I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his programming.
Right.
One of his
maybe.
personalities was probably illiterate, but MK Monarch, which they have admitted is real in 2024. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
It's very clever. NSA archive.
How is Monarch different than Ultra, though?
Oh, well,
What was the
because
incentive?
Monarch,
Yeah.
the people now that you're like, why is Kanye so crazy? That's why. It's all your favorite Hey, why do Disney kids turn out how they do? Well, Disney, the fucking Rosicrucian that allowed the CIA to do stuff to him underneath Disneyland, and that's real. I don't know if you know about Rosicrucian.
Well, he was Opus Dei.
But their victims are talking.
He was in Opus Dei, like the early Freemason, kind of
Wow, I
like
didn't
before
know
you
that.
turn 18.
They've all come together. I would say, the last thing I saw of Gary Wayne, by the way, I'm not religious at all.
Also, isn't it like Club 33 or something? In
Yeah, it's
like,
weird.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Club 33.
Yeah, no, it's all
He was
there.
He was
It's
a
all there.
Why
Freemason.
are
He was
all
there,
our
yeah,
beloved
yeah.
movies Bavarian fairy tales? That's weird.
Right.
Hey,
right.
Disney sucks now. Hey, it
Dude,
always sucked. Why are
dude.
you pushing princess shit still?
Something that got me was Joe Rogan bringing up that scene in Pinocchio, where it's like,
With
we
Brewer.
take them to the
Yup.
little island, and this
Whoa,
scene in
no,
Pinocchio, it's
no.
a classic scene. It's
Yes.
freaky, dude. It's like literally Epstein. You got these villains sitting around the table at the tavern, and one of them, like the big banker, he's like, I know how to make a real bit of money, and he starts whispering to them, and they're like, take them to Pleasure Island, and
No
he's like,
way.
yeah, and he goes,
Yeah.
but they're just little boys, and he goes, well, they don't come back as boys, and they all start laughing about it.
And I takes him to Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island? But the law, suppose they... No, there's no risk. They never come back as boys.
Whoa,
Jesus.
like
Hey.
very symbolic of what we're now
It really spoke to my
discussing.
subconscious, and I want to be famous now.
Right.
So you got a masculine, feminine side of the brain, which, as the Templars will tell you,
Yeah, man.
they tried to preserve the divine feminine Ashtar worship of the fucking pagans.
Yeah.
So, but, Purple Lady, I saw I did DMT the first time, but not like a woman, but you've heard of the Purple Lady. I believe that's my right brain, feminine, divine side.
Mm.
This collective unconscious, that's the meat internet, dude. That's the original internet. All the tech freaks are going to make an artificial version of so if you see we're going to have brain Wi-Fi, that's how you know ESP
yeah.
exists.
It'll
Because they're
come.
going to copy all the real, they're not going to tell you about them, but they're going to copy them to get back to Atlantis times. And so all this could it be archaeological? Yeah. Oh, wait, could this be the Nephilim from the bottom?
Right.
Yeah, it's all of that shit. Don't you get the
It's
joke?
kind of like,
They compartmentalize the names into like different names, and you go, well, that's Bible shit, or that's UFO. You don't know what anything is because they controlled it.
Right.
And that's why they're called Freemasons, even though they don't build nothing. They build their matrix.
Tom DeLonge, when he was kind of doing the rounds
happened to that?
early days of the UFO subject,
Yeah.
one of the things that he brought up, and I don't know how true it is, so I tried to find some like validation of whether or not these statues really were outside SAIC headquarters, Science Applications International Corporation.
I've been wondering about that ever
those
since.
those pyramids, yeah. So you got do you know about this?
No.
Like,
Pass
these two,
no.
these two statues.
Well,
One
shut up
sitting
for a
there as one.
Let me put my
It's
hood
cool,
up.
man. The ADHD in this room is real. Like I've got it as well.
All of us. have,
Yeah, like everyone's trying to jump in, but no. Like outside this tech center do you remember where it was meant to be? Was it in San
Tech
Francisco or like
I thought it was in LA. And
LA
I thought it was
or
by where I lived, and I wanted to go there.
right? So like it was meant to be the old SAIC headquarters. And Tom DeLonge, when he was back in like 2017 doing the rounds, he was like, "Oh, you guys, there's this place outside the SAIC headquarters where they got these two statues where you've got this Egyptian pharaoh sitting on a like temple seat holding a pyramid in his hand, and it says the past." And then on the other side, you've got a kind of futuristic-looking female goddess-type pharaoh holding a pyramid, and it says the future.
I forgot.
Past and the future. And
Do you know Epstein said that?
Yeah, like the new Atlantis, the new era, the golden dawn, right? It's like,
Wait, you saw
Weird.
the clips from the Bannon Epstein document? He has 14 hours of footage interviewing Epstein.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I use it for comedy on Kyle Dunnigan's channel. For, I can't remember what we called it. We had a news show. It was really funny. And it was the Talk Down.
Right.
Hollywood celebrities tell you the news. It's called the Talk Down. Okay?
I like
so
that.
we did like the More You Know parodies because my boy Jason Burmis, whoever from Loose Change back in the day, who was right.
Oh, yeah, Loose Change, yeah.
He was right. I didn't think he was, but he was.
Well, it's so funny. They're kind of admitting that at the highest levels. There's like a 9/11, like people are like, we need to look into the 9/11 file. Like Kash Patel and like Tulsi are saying that shit.
Yeah.
That would have been, if you were to say this 5 years ago, you'd be laughed out of a room, any room you're in.
Well, I mean, you'd probably be debanked.
The thing is, I feel like there's only so far they can go in investigations with 9/11 before they start blaming their greatest ally for it, right? So it's kind of like...
It takes a village, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, of course our best
awkward,
friend aircraft carrier was involved.
Yeah.
Don't forget Pakistan.
Yeah.
You're talking about Osama, right?
Yeah.
So Seymour Hersh released probably what happened, and he's an impeccable journalist.
Fantastic.
Okay, I didn't hear of it. In 2011, it came out. And there was I think Zero Dark 30 and shit.
Yeah.
Which is nonsense.
Yeah. It's just propaganda. Propaganda.
See, he was a guy that was, and I went watching that guy Shrek from Delta Force talk about it on things. He goes, that guy went dialysis. He crossed the mountains and got away. Well, first of all, he had to get away because how could we go to Iraq if they killed the guy that did 9/11? How could we go to Iraq then? Get it?
Mm-hmm.
You ever see the Tony Clausen speech? How do we get to war in Iran? That's a real speech.
I think it's interesting that, like, obviously you got Rumsfeld talking about $2.3 trillion missing dollars from the Pentagon, and it cost about that much to do the Middle Eastern invasion. So it's like, is this a big money laundering
Catherine
operation?
Austin
Like,
Fitz.
is there a lot of
Talk to
cash
her.
flowing through this? Like, yeah.
Talk to Catherine Austin Fitz from HUD under George, I think H.W. Bush.
Yes.
There's like $23 trillion missing since 1997.
Yeah.
And I know Joseph P. Farrell, that smart motherfucker, he keeps track of financial crimes around the world.
Yeah.
And he put together all these weird missing amounts of money with fake bearer bonds, but they're not. They're obvious like fakes. It doesn't make sense.
This is the kind of stuff that gets you Epstein. This is the kind of stuff that gets you Epstein.
Breakaway.
For sure.
Craziest thing about Epstein that I learned recently is that, did you know that Bill Gates' science advisor is the backup executor to Epstein's will?
Doesn't shock me.
That's
Didn't
a
know
fact.
that. Didn't know that,
That's
but it
a
doesn't
fact.
shock me.
How crazy is that? And he found out, and then he goes, I was shocked to find out that I was listed.
Whoa.
Where'd he come from,
Don't you
Bill
remember
Gates?
Bill Gates where he's
Where'd he
like,
come
well,
from?
he's dead now, so, like, nothing more to say about that.
Who's his
Like,
family? Where'd he come from?
That's right, that
well,
interview, yeah.
Well, he's dead, so.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead. So, in general, you always have to be careful.
That's a threat. I took it.
Yeah, like, shut the fuck
bitch,
up.
a lot of people could be
Shut
dead.
up.
That's how I took it.
Yeah.
Because that
Wanna be
guy,
next?
he's the grandson, of course, of like one of Rockefeller's fixers.
Right.
What? Is that
Yeah.
true?
I thought he was a middle-class kid and Steve Jobs was a hippie.
I think
he was the other nerd.
His dad was military, I think, right?
Oh, you don't say.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then his grandfather was a fixer for the
Rockefeller, and that's where he learned to buy the press because, as you know, Rockefeller, everybody hated that motherfucker because he's a piece of shit. And then they had the idea to do PR, so that's Bernays,
Edward Bernays.
The PR. What do you think PR is? The blackest of magic. Okay? They have big pharma'd old occult shit. So the mind control part, okay? That's old, dude. That goes to Egypt, right? You got your pharaohs who are inbred like those LA Bape dogs that are like, stop inbreeding them. Come on, stop doing that, right? A corrupt priest class. And I got some of this from Rudolf Steiner.
Rudolf.
He's very boring, but
I like
he has
Rudolf
gossip.
Steiner. I think that's very interesting.
He is, because he tells you backstage, like how I would talk shit about a comic. He talks shit about a cultist. That's the juiciest, best part.
Right.
Okay? And I found out all kinds of shit from just his gossip. The main shit is almost... I get off track.
No, I disagree with you. I think the main stuff's really interesting.
Okay.
too.
All of these things are the same thing. Kabbalah. So, did you study Kabbalah? I can't say it
I
normal.
wouldn't say I studied it. Familiar with it. But...
Oh, well, it affects your life deeply because all these esoteric groups that... Fraternities? Were you in a frat in college?
Didn't have frats in the UK.
No.
That's a purely American phenomenon that
Well,
I've
you've
seen
already
through
got
American
Oxford.
Pie.
Yeah, you've already got Oxford shit.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
I didn't go to Oxford.
But you have it. That's
Yeah,
where.
yeah.
So, but I know everybody
We got
mad at
that.
Israel.
We got that.
But guess what? we're even worse. And UK is the one that got that shit going back in the day.
Well, we've got old school esoteric belief systems going
That's
on.
right. And that's why there's no justice about Jimmy. People are mad about the grooming gang. Now, I used to write for Sacha Baron Cohen on Who is America, okay? The pranks we did.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
I love that show.
Yeah.
Dude, I miss them guys. That was like a good. His group's like a band. They're not like a right.
Yeah.
So he does round tables like the great Cecil Rhodes.
Cecil Rhodes.
Yeah, and so they picked me to stay on. They don't do that.
Yeah.
And I got on with them dudes immediately. Ann Hines and Dan Swan. Those dudes, I love them dudes, and I really like Sasha a lot too. But understand, he's old money. He's Kohanim, which is like real old money. Went to Oxford. The reason I got along with them is because their sense of humor, they're like smart kids. Right.
Right.
Yeah, his whole family's super smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Jersey Shore trash, but I can always go along.
Too. Gifted and talented.
Well, I'm gifted and talented.
Do you know about the City of London within the City of London?
Of course.
Yeah, do you know about that?
No.
So like the original City of London isn't the City of London.
Okay.
The financial quarter, which is 1 square mile of London, is called the City of London.
Wow.
And that's got its own mayor, it's got its own police force, it's got its own laws. It's basically like the Vatican sitting in the middle of the city.
There's some conspiracies about them
huge.
running financial flows.
There is.
Who
Like, I
would've
mean,
thought?
so like there's a really good documentary called The Spider's Web, Britain's Second Empire. Like that will open your eyes to just how much financial corruption runs through London. Like the Swiss have got nothing on us, man. Like we really do run the financial sector of like high crime. And
You read Anglo-American World Power, you said.
I love.
pretty...
Well, you mentioned Cecil Rhodes.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like this.
That book. Well, let's get into this because maybe they dovetail because Carol Quigley wrote this book, The Anglo-American Establishment.
Right.
Talks about round table cultures, Cecil Rhodes and Lord Alfred Milner or whatever, and like them having those secret societies led to the intelligence agencies that we have today.
What is it based on? The Illuminati.
Right. Old school
Freemasons,
Bavarian
the
Illuminati
Jesuits.
and like, Jesuits.
He
heavily
based
involved.
his group on those. It's in the, what's that movie that's they're pretty good, the first one, Kingsman.
Oh, Kingsman, yeah.
Kingsman.
Yeah, they drip that stuff right into those shows, man, like for real.
I'm a writer and I study this shit because I want to write jokes and I want to fucking make movies. So I know sometimes they might be doing predictive programming, certainly, but understand there's a dude like me that looks at this shit because you can find the best, because you got to write something new that you haven't heard before. That's how I could tell if you're lying to me a lot of times because you're telling me a myth theme is Diana Pasoka calls it. I've seen this one, man.
Yeah.
Weapons of mass destruction. I saw that 20 years ago. I could spot it now.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not that I'm that quick.
It's yellow cake all over again, like the same shit.
On that though,
Yes.
I'm maybe a heretic here in that I think Tucker maybe overreacted. Look, I think
to which part?
I think whatever surgical strike Trump did is not the same thing as nation building in Iraq, like we did for as long as
shot for shot.
Right.
Sure, but like
wait, that's 3 years before. Do you understand what the implications of that?
Yeah, but let's not get into some meta layer. I'm just saying, like on a basic geopolitical level, like
fucking Matrix, man.
Yeah. I'm not sure that was like a bad move
Let me
and didn't set their program
there
back
are
for a
8
while.
levels.
And
Do you know this? There's 8 levels of top secret above the president, and the reason for that is
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, most people don't. But
I don't think you know that.
Highest is nuclear.
Why?
Like
Did I not wear the robes of a wise man?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You are.
Am I not holding the baton Egypticus? Why would you think I don't know that? Well, I do know that, and you do because you read that book. Carol Quigley was given cosmic level clearance to go to as Douglas Murray says, have you been to the archive? He's been. He's
definitely a spooky guy. Carol Quigley also is a professor at Georgetown who Bill Clinton said defined his worldview more than anybody else.
Oh yeah.
So the city of London. So if you go through that thread, Anglo-American establishment to today, do you think the city of London still has like the Vatican, City of London? Do you think any of these groups, Knights of Malta? You've done a lot of amazing work in Malta.
Yeah.
Do you think any of these groups have disproportionate power today?
Yeah. Like there you go. Yeah.
I wonder.
I would agree with Kurt's laugh. Like, I mean,
holy shit!
Yeah, like England.
Oh, I wonder if they do.
Yeah, I'm asking Jet.
England is such a old country, man. I think we're just very good at being quiet with the amount of influence and power that we have. How many crab claws have you had, brother?
This is a 3 Claw podcast, and I
3 claws down, and I haven't even had one. You didn't even bring me one. What
tranquilizer.
Okay. Okay. Do you think
bring the crab claws out?
I just want to
bust them out. I want to be on your wavelength right now. I want to be on your bandwidth.
That you should have.
Yeah.
I got one more. I don't want it. You can have it.
I'll have it.
Yeah.
How many White Claws have you gone through
Wait,
this morning?
White Claw, that's it.
I'm going to start a podcast called Do You Hear Yourself? Do you think the secret societies are the most popular, the most powerful people who ever lived?
I
have
think
undue influence? Oh, I wonder.
But you know what, Kurt? It's easy to say.
Because of the truth?
Well, no, it's really easy to be hand-wavy about this stuff, and then it's much harder, and this is my criticism of dark journalists, to actually understand how any of this stuff works.
Sometimes
I don't think I have a really great map of the world. I suspect that some of this stuff exists, but I think asking these questions is very of value.
Sometimes you got to ask an obvious question
You
for
do.
people that don't know.
Exactly.
I watch your show, and I appreciate you having me on, brother, and I hope you understand that.
No, I do.
I just think it's important that people understand, if you think they wouldn't do that, they would do that. History tells you they would do that. Whatever you think they wouldn't do, not only would they do it, they did worse already.
And I think that when it comes to somewhere like the UK, you know, we're very good at being kind of diplomatically quiet in terms of influence. Well, a lot of people would say, oh, you know, like British Empire, that's done. Like that's a long time ago. It's like not so much actually, not with the financial element at play. So I'd say that we hold a lot of influence over the financial kind of like, you know, global market. A lot of bad money flows right into London, and then like the city of London, this weird kind of like financial sector. Like I said, they've got their own mayor. They've also got the only unelected members who can go into Parliament called the Remembrancer. This guy called for real, right? For real. The Remembrancer.
What is this?
So he's an individual, or she, who works for the Corporation of the City of London. That is older than London. Okay, so that's like the OG. So that's kind of like you've got the financial sector, you've got the City of London financial sector. The beating heart of that is the Corporation of London. Right, very dystopian stuff, right? Wow. And so the Remembrancer, what a title, right? Will go into Parliament and sit and listen, and then report back to the corporation, and they'll make the decision if they're actually going to pass that. That's the real government behind the government.
Wait,
you know?
So
interesting.
Yeah,
they're a Mentat from Dune, is what you're telling me.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's the same kind of a vibe.
You know about Lake Havasu?
Yeah. Of course, I played that game.
London Bridge is in Lake Havasu.
Yeah.
So you know these.
They moved it. They moved London Bridge. They took London Bridge to America and built it Lake
Havasu is just like the old city of London and the Vatican.
And Freemasons laid the first stones in Lake Havasu, like for that.
Well, Knights of Columbus is the controlling interest, and the reason they brought that bridge is because there's kids' walls up in it, and it's a negatively charged.
God, I don't know about that.
Oh, yes. Well, Nathan Reynolds, go check him out. See, here's what I do, because I'm on a new show, okay? So I'm looking at the current events.
What's your show?
Jimmy Dore. I'm on it. I'm a sidekick on Jimmy Dore.
You're on Jimmy Dore, okay.
Okay, so I'm getting actual news that nobody's getting, because all the channels that people think are news are literally propaganda for the one guy who's president at the time. So Fox is entirely for Trump. I know your boomer parents watch it. They can.
Yeah.
It's the program Trump.
Of course.
MSNBC was for Soup Brain Biden. Okay. Well, I want to see Morning Joe. It's all for one guy, and they're bloodline with the British.
I will say that, like, from a British,
bury the lead. Bloodline with the British.
From a British perspective, like our propaganda is a bit more nuanced and subtle than the Americans. So
Used to be.
I would argue it still is, and you know, when you look at CNN and NBC, like, at least from my perspective, it's like, well, you can tell that they're drenched in bias. This is just political talking points.
You've been stuck on a tarmac too?
Yeah, bro. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, it feels like with, like, the BBC, for example, they're fucking clever, man. Like, they'll drip it in very subtly, you know, in this lovely British accent, so you really feel like you're being informed, but it's the exact same thing. It's just a little bit more subtle.
Do you see? Speaking of which, do you see this Wall Street Journal article about the UFO stuff?
Yeah, man. Like, again, I feel like there's a mix of, like, some actual truth to what they're saying, and also, you know, an incentive to try and kind of, like, disrupt what's going on in the UAP conversation. But I would argue that there is definitely a level of, like, you know, bringing people in. Again, it comes back to this campfire story thing. Like, how many no offense, but how many whistleblowers have got up and gone like, yeah, I was told this, I was told this, I was told that, I was told this. You didn't see shit, you didn't know that, you didn't see it. So you've been told this by who? By Lou, by Chris, by Gary Nolan, by whoever it might be. And it's like, where's the seed? I want to trace the seed back to the origin point, and where's the actual information? Because whenever you ask these guys, they got told it by another GS-15 or another high level. Yeah, well, I'm friends with his cousin. They fucking hate each other.
Yeah,
John
that
Warner
guy
V.
the truth about Chris
Yeah,
Mellon.
John
I
Warner
love
V.
him.
Yeah, I know, right? He's a classic character. He's great.
Mellon has the X-Protect file.
Yeah.
What happened to Academy of the Stars? Where'd that go?
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
I was
it's
talking
gone.
about this not that long ago. Like, To the Stars Academy, that's, Tom DeLonge, I feel, got thrown under the bus. He was what they would call a useful idiot. No offense to the
Sean
guy.
Penn.
Yeah, like, he was all excited. And I'll quickly, do you know how he initially started this? Like, Tom DeLonge? With
Spent his personal fortune
Well,
to
didn't he?
find
No,
out?
he performed at
he was
a
invited,
Lockheed,
yeah, so,
like
because he had the
holiday
money,
party or something.
Yeah, so he's always been involved in like the the UFO subject because he's got the money and the connections. He actually knew a dude at Lockheed Martin who was like, "There's like a family and friends meetup happening. Would you be interested in introducing the bosses onto the stage?" And he was like, "I want 10 minutes with your boss afterwards." But yeah, and that's when he had right. So literally right. So he walks into Lockheed Martin, and then he gets taken through the classified facilities to a meeting room where he sits down with the big bosses, Skunk Works, all this stuff, and he pitches To the Stars Academy. And he was saying on the radio, you have to go and be of service. I wanted to be of service. So he basically went in there and was like, here's a template. I am your medium into the public, into the, the youth of today. Use me however you like. And one thing I'll say real quick is that despite the controversy, and I wouldn't say I trust this guy 100%, but Stephen Greer was kicking down doors at that point. He had 6 million, 7 million views on Netflix. He's talking about unacknowledged special access programs, illegal programs, real repercussions that need to happen. This is an uncontrollable asset who's out there making noise. Suddenly, Tom DeLonge turns up to the heartland of classified security, right? Lockheed Martin. And he's like, guys, use me. Here's what I want to do. Tell me what you want to do. Suddenly, To the Stars, suddenly Lou Elizondo, suddenly Chris Mellon, suddenly the New York Times. And it just feels like they were like, this is the opportunity we needed. There's a disruptive guy out there who's giving this narrative about illegal programs. It's going to cause trouble for us. Suddenly, here's a really famous guy who's got a link straight to the youth of today. And he's saying we can fucking model it ourselves.
There's an email, I think, between him and Podesta where he's like,
Wait,
he's
what?
like, yeah, between
they were tight. They were tight. John Podesta.
And
they were tight.
This came out on WikiLeaks,
tight,
and DeLonge is like, I want to, give the truth, but I also want, I don't want people to, I want the government to be portrayed as cool.
So
or
these
something,
emails that came out, dude. So on WikiLeaks, so what's interesting is they are gone. I've tried to find these WikiLeaks emails where he's talking about Edgar Mitchell and stuff. Yeah, people have scraped it.
Yeah.
But they're 404 on the website.
Yeah.
Every single one about Tom DeLonge interfacing with Podesta and people like that.
Yeah.
But back in the
Jesus
day, bro,
Christ.
he was literally saying to Podesta on emails, like, I really want to try and get the youth of today to be more pro-military, more pro-government, and this is how we're going to do it. And so the Secret Machines books and the TV series was all about trying to build confidence back into the institution.
And yet, I look at the people he was talking to, Neil McCaslin, Steve Justice, where I'm like,
Where'd Steve Justice go? Where'd Steve Justice go?
Totally,
You know what I mean?
Totally.
This is real.
And I share your frustration around the campfire story stuff, but I'm like, these guys are high level dudes, and like, I don't think
like I
they
said,
would...
campfire stories with a TSSCI clearance attached.
Yeah,
right?
totally. And I don't think they would be spending this much time with the front man of Blink 182 if there wasn't something.
But that's what I'm saying.
They were
Where's
trying
the
to get...
seed? What I want to know where that kernel of actual data exists that they're then echoing back into these circles of people who are like, well, I got told by Lou and Lou told me this. It's like, right, so who told him and where does he
I
find
can tell
it?
you that.
Go for it.
So MK Monarch, the thing that they have admitted was real. Now try to stay on it.
Yeah.
Most of your favorite star, I think really the only actor who didn't work with the CIA is probably Steven Seagal. The only guy who literally didn't work with the CIA is Steven Seagal. But in the program, which is the continuation of MK Ultra, Tom DeLonge's family, are they not Air Force?
Yeah, he's got intelligence backgrounds, and actually,
like Whitley Strieber.
Yeah, no, another member of the band as well. Actually helped this. I'm not going to remember it, but I found this out and was like, what? So then another member of Blink 182 had family members in the intelligence community, and he actually helped with something in the military and the IC. It was like some software or programming or something he helped with. So there's two IC Mill connections in Blink 182.
Wow.
Tom DeLonge and this other guy, I think the bassist, but I can't remember. Yeah,
It's like
so,
all the rock stars of the 60s.
Yeah, dude, it is weird. It is.
Well,
It's like all of them.
Yeah, in the 60s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brain.
Monarch.
But it's just, I don't know, like, did Tom DeLonge have a natural interest, natural money?
I think he did.
And then he got brought in and got fucked
Did you hear
around.
your story?
Like,
Sure.
that's what it feels
I
like.
want to
well,
be
it
used
depends.
by you.
Well, I hear
You hear
stories.
that?
Yeah, exactly.
But
I think that is not programmed into him because he's from an early age from one of them families.
Right. I want to
hear-
be of service. Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But then I hear stories of, people like Neil McCaslin who ran, I think, the AFRL, Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright Pat and stuff. Like serious dudes taking Peter Lavenda's work. So Peter Lavenda co-wrote, this book with
going back
with
to
Tom
the
DeLonge.
occult and
Yeah,
Peter
it goes back
Lavenda,
to the
OTO
occult and the grimoire and all
yeah,
sorts of
dude.
things, like very seriously. And I don't know what to think of it because I'm like even my own relationship with the sort of more esoteric elements of this stuff is like I find it fascinating.
Oh, me too.
But it's definitely, to the extent it's entangled with reality, it's very it's inherently like sort of covert, and occult means hidden.
There's definitely there's definitely a Gnostic theme running through a lot of these guys, like what they believe in, and this idea of the archons, and even Tom DeLonge on like 2016 on.
I got breakfast with Tom DeLonge, and he told me that he thought these were like archons.
Yeah.
And there's like in Gnostic tradition, you have a demiurge. That's a lower god that controls the material world,
puppeteer of our reality, and then the guards of that reality, the archons, who kind of like recycle us back into the soup of reincarnation. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of scaling that down and applying the Archon title to your human leaders?
Right.
Who call themselves that because they think it's their divine right to do that to you.
I would
They
say
think
it's a very similar type of a thing. And then you look
It is
at
that.
Tom DeLonge was like so excitedly talking in 2016 on the radio about this when someone asked about the archons, and he was like, yeah, dude, like we've been developing weapon systems because we know they're coming back and we've been waiting for them, and this is why they can't tell you about the UFO subject. And it's like, right, I have a massive issue with this. Like I have an issue with people who say like, we've been doing this in secret, that's why we couldn't tell you. Okay, so these things are trans-dimensional, they apparently interface with consciousness, can apparently bend space-time fabric, but we can keep a secret from them.
Yeah.
Oh, come on,
Yeah.
bro.
That's a great
weak
point.
Source.
Right.
Source.
Like,
Like,
we
there's
can
no
prepare,
way
and they
that
wouldn't know.
If Tom DeLonge's sitting there on the radio going like, no, trust me, dude, like we're hiding it because of the aliens, like what the fuck, they've heard it. Like, you know what I mean? So like that doesn't wash with me.
Yeah.
I think that, someone like Tom DeLonge, he got brought in and he was so excited, and it's kind of like, on a lower level, similar to me when I was first meeting people and, like hanging out with CIA officers, and you think this is so cool. Like these guys are actually giving me time, but they're so good at becoming your friend. Like, that's what I was saying before. They're good at doing that because they see you as someone that you can send a message through.
Yeah, showbiz is called.
Yeah, like not every time, but I think there's a lot of that in the UFO community because it's like perfect ground zero for them to interface with the public and create a bit of a rumor or a bit of a campfire story.
What do you think the point is? Because a part of me is like
Confusion.
A confusion.
Absolute confusion as to what is actually going on. Because, like, again, there is definitely something going on.
There's something going
Something really, really important and probably non-human.
Do you have like a best guess at that? Or do you think that maybe the psyop above all else is that they don't know?
Yeah, that could be it.
So
Yeah.
you just create
They haven't got a clue. They
because
know
I
that there's something.
suspect that no one knows.
Well, that's kind of where I lean. Is like they've got maybe slightly higher fidelity information and ideas, but they don't really know what it is, and they don't know how to address it. And it's like, how does the premier national security apparatus go? we have no idea. They can penetrate every system. They can destroy us. They can take you out of your room at night. Like, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that there's an element of that, but then there's also like, like I said, the classified exotic research and, using the alien as a smokescreen for that. So there's so many incentives to keep us in the dark and also spread all these different stories, which we've seen since like the 1940s when they started these UFO conferences and these spooks and spies would come in and they give people ideas. But look at what we're dealing with now, a spaghetti junction of narratives with 1,000 people saying 1,000 things and they're all true. This is the narrative. This is the narrative. It's like no one actually knows. That feels purposeful. Feels like it's generating noise because, again, there is something to look at. And it's maybe the implications are so deep that they can't risk people knowing about it. So it's better to believe in gray aliens coming from Alpha Centauri or whatever, But again, like you said, I think that there's a likelihood that they don't really know. They don't really know, and that scares the shit out of them.
There's clearly there are patterns. There's clearly a
old gods or something, like like whatever we might think, like
it's
just
Did
the
you read that
Anunnaki.
book of the Collins Elite?
Oh man, I've read a few things on the Collins
You're
Elite.
talking about the final events by Nick Redfern.
Yeah, Nick Redfern.
Now, whoever he was talking to was feeding him horseshit.
Right.
But the book's still very interesting. You should
Radical
still
Christian
read it.
ideologues and
Yes,
like,
because I watched Jason I always call him Jazz Jabroni, but his name's Jason Giorgiani because and again, I don't need to agree with all your points. Everybody's got a little piece. I just want your piece.
Yeah.
Okay, and he goes, this Collins elite that are fundamentalist Christians.
Yeah.
George W. Bush years. Okay, so that would be Colin Powell's in on that. There'd be a lot of these people in on that, and they're fundamentalist Christians. Then you read about what they did. Well, first we met aliens, and then we're like, can we use this to assassinate people? Well, are you guys Christians? I thought you were Christians.
Right.
Oh yeah, Christians do that.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
they don't.
yeah.
No, they don't. So now I'm being fetish. By the way, Collins, just so you know, is one of the old Barnabas Collins from the what do they call it? The Dark Shadows. Johnny Depp played him in the remake.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was a 70s thing from England. Barnabas Collins, very popular. Dark Shadows. Johnny Depp later played him in the Tim Burton remake movie.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. But that name Collins, that's one of them, the 13 families.
Right. Big, powerful name.
First warlocks in America is their claim to fame. I wonder if that's the same Collins elite.
Maybe.
Hey, I notice a lot of occultists all think that they're Christian. And they say it like they are, like your J.R.R. Tolkien's, who, by the way, was a Rosicrucian, just like Disney. And his Catholic priest son,
Rosicrucian.
yeah, and his Catholic priest son was a vicious pedophile.
Didn't Tolkien eventually convert to Christianity fully because of C.S. Lewis? Or
I don't know.
Am I making that up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe C.S. Lewis.
I know he had
eventually
ties into these esoteric communities, though.
What's up, guys? One of today's sponsors is us, American Alchemy. We just launched what I think is maybe the coolest merch line in the world. When you're wearing it, it's not like you're shilling me or the channel. They're just really epic, and I think they look good. We have a couple of amazing designs for you. We have our cowboy UFO tee, pretty epic. You see there's a rancher. He's witnessing a UFO. A little cow is getting abducted by the UFO in the background. And then you know that I love mid-century history, specifically spooky science, atomic era stuff. And so we have our atomic age tea here. Pretty cool vibe. You got a robot serving this guy a little martini and then a UFO off to the side. I think it's pretty epic too. And then finally, we have our hats. This is just one of the hats. We have many different designs, but I think they're pretty epic. I think you can wear these around and they just look like a generally cool brand. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be obsessed with UFOs or even my channel. I think they just look epic. But buying these does support the channel. I no longer make any money from any of the venture capital stuff I used to do. This is my sole source of income. So buying the merch is a really amazing way to show your support. Go to AmericanAlchemyMerch.com. American Alchemy, MERCH.com to check out all of this amazing new apparel. The cowboy tee that I'm wearing is 100% cotton, super relaxed fit. We went for quality on these, so check them out.
Okay, Mormonism, Lord of the Rings, bunch of stories. You hear the themes over and over.
Yeah, same
campfire stories.
Yeah.
The theme is Atlantis over and over.
Yeah.
And thank you, dog journalist, metaphorical overlay. I got that word from him. I didn't make that up. It's a metaphorical overlay. Once you realize that principle of a metaphorical overlay, then you go, I've heard this story before, like I'm saying with the tall whites. Oh, this sounds like some racists came to an island and we're like a cargo cult that tries to make the same planes out of wood. But I got news for you. I think they have all those metamaterials now. The helium-3 and the Bob Lazar Moscovium 113, because I text you about it. They made that in a particle collider in Russia.
What do you?
That's what CERN is. How much metamaterial could I get out of the biggest one or the 30,000 ones we have all over?
You know something wild about CERN, right?
They're not opening portals. They're making
well, you know what's interesting about that? Because I mean, like, obviously, like, everyone's making theories about CERN and, like, you know, what's going on there. But there was that woman who...
Astrid Stuckelberger.
Yeah, man. And she's got a hell of a resume.
She has a really impressive... she's
impressive
kind of like a public health policy expert, but sits on all these interesting boards. And she's in an interview and she goes, physicists from CERN are telling me that beings
are coming out of portals,
of interdimensional portals at CERN.
There are lots of physicians. I know some. They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes.
So this is what's crazy.
Right.
I reached out to her one summer, like last summer, not maybe 2 summers ago.
Right.
Because I was fascinated. That interview came out and I was like, I need to, because I do think high energy physics, whether it's Thomas Townsend Brown, Tesla, nuclear stuff, you get weird stuff showing up.
It can yield anomalies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
That's where you're testing the boundaries of our reality.
Right.
And the whole Feynman, there's room at the bottom. That's how you get into that. And so I was like, okay, this is really interesting. So I reach out to her, no response. Then I throw that clip in a long video I did with this guy, Riz Verk, who does simulation theory stuff.
She got back to you.
And she emails me and she was like, we must talk now or whatever. And it was, and it was responding to my initial inquiry, clearly because she had read it.
Right.
And
just didn't know who you were and was like, whatever, I don't know who this guy is.
But clearly she did.
Clearly she did.
And I was like, okay, let's talk this week. And then just ghosted, like never heard from her. So strange.
Well, that's the thing. She was on like some obscure interview on BitChute or something like that. You know, she wasn't on like YouTube or anything like that. And I think because she was also talking about COVID and it was during that time where you just couldn't say shit. But I found it very interesting what she was saying. And I don't know, man, like, you know, CERN, so many theories about what they're doing over there. And it's a difficult one, but high energy physics, like you said, I mean, I've heard some things from people who, you know, work in the quantum computational industries and kind of like some of the high level simulations they're running on like black holes and dark matter, and weird shit is going on localized to the computer. Like,
and there's a famous crash in the US at South Haven, right next to Brookhaven National Lab.
Right, Brookhaven.
That's where our largest particle accelerator is. So that's our CERN equivalent in Long Island.
Right.
And you have the police chief there and a bunch of local residents say that it was collected by Brookhaven, the crash itself.
Yeah.
And Brookhaven's Montauk, right? That's Montauk?
It's
I think so.
near.
Or it's kind of like in that vein, like there's
Hey.
weird shit going down at Brookhaven Labs.
They had a gate program.
Yeah, they had something going on.
Gifted and talented.
So do you guys think the Montauk experiments were real? Because you've had on Eric Hecker.
Yeah.
My boy, Eric.
Eric Hecker. Yeah, I know you guys were chatting in a space not that long ago.
You know we bombed Iraq that day? They had a 5.2
No shit.
earthquake. Hey, you know Syria where we just installed Al Qaeda? Remember we went to
Your
war?
brain makes too many connections.
That's what the government tells me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about what you just said to
just
me.
a little context for the audience, real quick. Eric Hecker. Who's Eric Hecker?
Eric Hecker is he was a plumber, like quite a high level plumber. He went out to a lot of different like, you know, interesting clients, but he ended up getting a contract via Raytheon to go out to Antarctica and do work out there. And
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube neutrino detector and things like this. And because of his role, like people kind of like shrug it off because, you know, you're just a mechanic, just a plumber. But because of that role, you get access to so many different areas of like the sites and the facilities to do basic work and upkeep. And he said that he had noticed that like energy was being transferred from one area to another area where it wasn't supposed to be going. Like a huge amount of energy was being sent off to these places when he was, you know, trying to de-energize the cables and things like that. And he was like, you know, where's all this going? And they were like, don't even worry about it. And then I can't remember the specifics of how he's kind of come to this conclusion, but he's pretty sure that the Ice Cube neutrino detector, which is like embedded into the ice. I mean, it's absolutely insane. This thing with all these like DOMs that are going deep down into the ice. It's essentially like, you know, this 3-dimensional technological construct. He thinks that there is, well, he's found documentation, to be fair to him, like documents that insinuate it's a two-way device, that the energy can be used to emit instead of just receive. So it's not just a receiver of neutrinos. And
it's an earthquake gun.
And it's an earthquake gun. You know, that's what he believes. Yeah,
earthquake,
Christchurch, New Zealand. I don't know how true that is because I haven't really seen satisfactory
evidence
ELF
for waves?
But that is the claim. That is what he's saying, and he's become quite well known for, you know, talking about that. And I know you've connected to him pretty recently.
I
as
just
well.
did a thing with him.
Yeah.
I talk to him all the time.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
He also talks about, because he says he was in a childhood.
Yes,
early
on.
He talks about the Montauk experiment.
I grew up on Long Island. I had a very peculiar history of nefarious activity with the Stargate program.
Yeah, you know, I've forgotten the name of Innisfada. That was the name of the school that's now been turned. It was renamed and then destroyed. But I did find the place. It was real, and it was called Innisfada when he was there. And it was like this weird school for gifted children, and they would do the remote viewing stuff. And apparently, they'd take them to the library and put this like fluid in their eyes that would make everything turn slightly yellow.
Wow.
And he said he'd remember like being really like pumped to go outside and like see if it was still there because everything would be in yellow, and he didn't really know why they were doing that. But it was at this time where he was being, you know, kind of prompted to remote view, and you know, there's no wrong answer, just tell us what you think. And he didn't really understand what was going on in his setting because it was very different to his school environment. And like Kurt said, this is something that a lot of people seem to have been brought into, especially in America. It seems you guys have been running that, because I don't know about the UK, but I haven't heard many stories of that kind of stuff.
I know, like, at this point, 4 or 5 people who, if you met in any other context, you'd be like, this is a normal, credible person. Say that they like they're brought into some program as a kid. They don't remember a certain year of their life. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, brother. Like, of course you would try and get some of the best and brightest and try and, especially if you genuinely are interested in parapsychology, but you tell the world that. It's like, right, find these kids, see if they can do it, see if they can interface. I mean, NASA had the Star Kids. That's even like mainstream knowledge now. We know that NASA was getting these kids and trying to get them into remote viewing. And
Andrei Puharich had his institute in upstate New York.
And a lot of the astronauts did remote viewing. I mean, Edgar Mitchell's really known for that, doing experiments when he was up on the moon.
And Gordon Cooper has a discussion about space kids and stuff.
Put a blue Masonic flag on the moon. People think the moon landing's fake?
Right.
I don't think it is, just based on they put a blue Mason Lodge flag on.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin.
Do you think the footage that we saw might have been faked, but not the actual mission itself?
That's my belief.
That's kind of where I am.
Yeah.
I wonder, because some people say, people say nukes aren't real because some of the footage is fake.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
Smart guys, smart thinking. No,
Mark Andreessen said that. I think.
I've seen that floating around.
He's an absolute liar. He's a scumbag. I'm sorry to tell you, he's one. I watch him do it.
Tell that shit to the Japanese, man. They might have a few things to say about that.
I got this
what about the radiation?
I got this from Joseph P. Farrell. This is a great little tidbit. I've never heard anybody say this before. When he remembers from being a little nerd kid when what's the German guy that ran the rocket program, the famous one,
Werner von Braun.
He has a blurb in Time magazine that his mom got, and he's reading it. Werner von Braun, he tells while he's talking about the moon facts, he goes, well, the point in neutral, neutral gravity, where he gives like double the amount for what they said it is,
right?
And then
who does?
Von Braun.
To what we're now given today.
Not only that, so because he's such a turbo nerd, Joseph P. Farrell, he puts together, that means it's more dense than they're saying, it's farther away.
Right.
Oh, right. There's a race to the moon. Remember how we got to get to the moon? Don't know why, but we got to get there.
Yeah.
Before we were in Russia.
Well, Sputnik was beating. Yeah, they were beating us.
That's
Saturn
that's what they said.
That's what we're told, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're told for sure.
How did we get all the good Nazis after the war, but Sputnik was beating us in space? How does that work? Oh, maybe the same way Pearl Harbor worked. Where you cut off Japan's oil so they have to attack you because you want them to.
So you think Sputnik was a false flag?
No, I think they wanted Sputnik to go ahead so they go,
so they had
we got to start working a lot harder, guys.
It provided the impetus to do that, right? And what's weird as well is that there's this really good clip. I mean, it's just like a real what the fuck moment with this NASA astronaut who's like, oh, I'd go back to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we destroyed that technology and it's a very difficult process to build it back again.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
And like, how did we get through the Van Allen radiation belt at that time, but now we can't?
Yeah, it's really
only in LEO, low Earth orbit now. It's like,
you know how Starships, what their plan is to get to the moon? It's wild.
What is it?
So Starship is, Elon's latest rocket, 150 to 200 tons or whatever. And this is a state of the art, thing. It's obviously much more tonnage than what we were dealing with back then. It's meant to like carry, huge payloads of Starlink and shit. But still, this is what we have to do now to get to the moon.
Right. And we did this before we had something like an iPhone, like, the entire computational processing of NASA couldn't even fit in my pocket.
In your pocket.
You know what I mean?
So these things now go up to low Earth orbit. They burn 9/10 of the fuel tank just to get to low Earth orbit.
Right.
And then they're orbiting around. And then you have to get another one up. That burns 9/10. It does butt-to-butt refueling with the first one, so you get 2/10 in that first one.
Okay.
The second one then disposes of itself. You have to do that 10 times to get a full tank in low Earth orbit, and then that one that's fully refueled goes to the moon.
Yeah, I feel like that alone debunks
insane.
and asks some serious questions.
It's insane.
Like, you know what I mean?
Unless you got another energy source.
Yeah, where the
also,
fuck?
oil's not rare. Colonel Prouty told us. It's like it's diamonds, like De Beers.
Stay on track. So you
it's all this track. All on it.
No, it's a little king of non sequiturs. But
you don't. Okay, look. I'm telling you this for real, dude. Part of the thing for people in the program,
Yeah.
They have a list of you can read.
You're a non-linear thinker.
The ability to synthesize seemingly unrelated events. Now, when I read that, that's how I write jokes. The reason I look at all goofy shit and I look at everything is so I can have jokes. A lot of my jokes that I made as jokes have like come true, and it's disturbing the fuck out of me.
Diana Pasolka needs to write American Cosmic 2 about Kurt and his brain.
American Cosmic 2, Electric
He
Boogaloo.
gets downloads. Yeah, Electric Boogaloo.
Dude, you look.
He has protocols. And
you all should be seeing the. I want to make this clear that I'm not smart. I fell for 9/11 back in the day. I was in New York, and they go, "We got to go to Iraq," and people rightly pointed out that makes zero sense. And I said, "Shut up." I made a lot of faces Jesse made here on the show today.
Be a patriot.
I'm joking. Come on.
Well, I think you have to, like, with 9/11 even, like, I now suspect more than ever that there's some fuckery there, but I don't know. I think you have to stay in that not knowing zone to be an honest.
Let me give you a good parable from the. Do you remember when we starved 500,000 kids in Iraq with those sanctions? And what's her creepy name? She was the bird bitch that she's getting interviewed on 60 Minutes. Albright, Madeleine Albright, and the lady goes, and I'm watching.
You're probably the first female Secretary of State.
That matters. That matters if you're a lizard person, doesn't it? Let me get through it, okay? Don't get a nervous rich kid feeling. I'm just trying to get through it. I know they're your friends. Just relax, okay? I don't blame you for the FTX kid. I'm not like the others. So Madeleine Albright sitting there being asked.
Roasted.
I'm a comic. She's being asked, hey, over 500,000 kids starved from our sanctions.
Yeah.
You know, when we canceled Iraq.
Yeah.
And their kids starved because that's what we do, the good country.
Yeah.
And was it worth it? And Madeleine Albright, she goes, like a zombie she goes, I think it was.
Oh,
the
God.
first woman said that.
Damn, bro.
I think it was worth starving Now, luckily, we have the numbers. There's only 250,000 Iraqi kids. So, but if she would do that and say, I think it's worth it on a goddamn camera, you think that bitch wouldn't drink a baby in the woods with an outfit like this on? Are you dumb? Are you young?
Right.
You haven't figured out the scam yet. So I think of this like scams. They don't know what it is. They thought they knew. They got Nigerian prince scammed. Get it? Think of it as crypto scams. Be CoffeeZilla about it. CoffeeZilla, who I recommended to Rogan Show, I want to admit, he Kermes Tres Orgasmos, the writer of As the Carpet, So the Drapes. I recommended him. The guy does killer work, right? Just apply that. Just do a metaphor. It's so easy. It's just pattern recognition. You can see the game that's being played on you. Hey, this reminds me of this. You just got to do that. All humans can do this shit. They're literally training you not to do it. Have you noticed?
I believe there is some, ambient evil in the neoliberal world order
And
or whatever.
neocon.
And neocon, which
New
are,
World
which
Order
are
of the
kind of
Rose.
synonymous in many ways.
Yeah, man.
But like when you meet these people, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
what?
sure they're drinking baby blood in the woods.
The reason,
Like
from
I'm sure
Monarch-
I know there is weird shit like the Epstein shit, of course.
You know the MK Ultra reason, right? Manchurian Candidate is based on that. What if we could have a secret agent that don't know they're an agent? Wouldn't that be great? And if they get captured, they honestly didn't know they did it. We achieved that. That's been achieved since ancient Egypt, but we achieved it. We big farmed it with the Nazis we saved. As that's a matter of public record, not a conspiracy. We brought Nazis here with big fucking scars down their face to run NASA, which had the Space Kids camp. I wonder what went on there. And we had them run it to some reason, beat the Soviets to the moon.
Wait, NASA had
get to the moon and destroy the ship.
NASA had a Space Kids camp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I was saying, like you can look it up now. It's like kind of general knowledge. They had like Space Kids and like the Star Kids, I think it was called, or something like that. And
I know about Puharich or whatever, but did NASA have
yeah.
official...
NASA had something like a gifted children's thing, but I think that it's kind of like there's a mainstream acknowledgement of that, and then the surface layer of that is people saying, yeah, and while we were there, they were teaching us remote viewing. That's kind of like the thing that's not necessarily discussed publicly, but was part of that program. Yeah,
wow,
absolutely.
Nonsense.
Yeah, man.
No, I don't remember doing anything like that. Maybe I didn't pass and nothing happened, but I just don't remember.
Well, Werner von Braun apparently encouraged also Edgar Mitchell to go up and do this sort of parapsychology, like pick this card sort of.
Well,
Ghostbusters beginning, remember that? In the beginning, Ghostbusters and Bill Murray.
Dan, I've gotten dinner with Dan Aykroyd. He is obsessed with UFOs.
Yeah,
he loves
he's
all
deep.
this shit.
Dan Aykroyd's probably a high-level Freemason, and that's why he's into.
Well, he says his family
Wouldn't
is
surprise
like
me.
psychic research for 100 years. Or
that dude knows a lot of stuff. I promise you. and stuff
He
you
also
ain't never
smokes
gonna
a
say.
ton of weed.
Nice.
So maybe that
Weed
opens some
on the
portals.
on the MK Ultra list of what drugs do to control you.
Yeah.
Marijuana breaks amnesiac barriers and interferes with the programming. So in Montauk,
That's probably why
in
I'm
Monarch,
so dope.
look,
Just
don't worry.
perpetually.
They fixed the problem now. So the weed, I'm sure they can still
Oh,
find it.
lame, man.
But why was weed illegal so long? Well, it interfered with the mass mind control.
Can I give you my crazy MK Ultra theory?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so Jolly West, one of the architects of MK Ultra, like I feel like a lot of it was like he had this like Center for Violence Studies, violence reduction. I kind of think it was like local violence creation for mass pacification or violence reduction. So
Interesting.
it's like things like Manson, where
that's right.
You have a symbolic scapegoat where like Manson was synonymous with like the hippie movement,
Right.
and you have him.
This is the way that you then go, we got to stop this, guys.
Exactly.
Because look at this one. Look at
And
this
Hunter
one.
S. Thompson writes
Right.
it down, and it becomes legend.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That was, they're those hippies. So that's the guy closing the book on that little op right there. And if you read the Franklin scandal, I was like, nah, he wasn't there. Then I'm like, wait a minute.
His death's a bit suspicious, isn't it, Hunter S?
Pretty
sure he was shot.
His
with
life
a,
is more
shot with a
suspicious.
suppressed pistol or something.
Look into his
right?
life, it's worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the crazy they talk about adrenochrome. I know. Where did I hear that? I heard of that in Fear and Loathing in Las
Fear and
Vegas.
Loathing in Las Vegas.
I wanted to find some.
Adrenochrome? He wrote about adrenochrome.
Well, have you seen Fear and Loathing, the film? So in that, there's a scene where they take adrenochrome. He's like, I got it from the Satanist. You can only get it from a pineal
Satanist.
gland, like a real pineal. And it's like,
Holy
oh,
shit.
like they give the whole spiel about adrenochrome.
You thought it was a
like,
hallucination. See, they made it look like it's like LSD.
hallucinogenic or like, yeah.
But now when they talk about it, have you noticed this? They talk about like it's a narcotic, like a cocaine.
Right.
Now, here's a weird fact. I don't know how it fits in. Maybe you heard some. The stuff for an EpiPen when you have allergies.
The adrenaline, right?
That's adrenaline. And if you let that go bad, it turns into adrenochrome.
Oh.
It looks like red powder. So why can't you just use that if it's a drug?
I mean, like,
see, I don't know.
I definitely think there's something to adrenalize blood. Like, this whole idea that, you get someone into a perpetual state of fear, they've got all this adrenaline running through them. Like, that blood's going to be rich in adrenaline. Whatever that really does to someone's mind if they just drink it, I don't know. But, like, they definitely don't want us to think that there's anything, like, actionable or real.
What's an internet troll, dude?
Like,
they try to, somebody, a disembodied thing, feeding on they say stuff to provoke you, to feed on your negative emotions.
Right.
Does that story sound familiar to you?
Yeah, again,
yeah,
like
it does.
Same
It does.
kind of fractal pattern.
As the carpet,
like,
so the drapes. We're going to technologically create.
It's like a
the
demonic,
universe. Do you see the
demonic.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
The
that happens in
internet
different
sucks.
levels and layers of society in different ways,
It does not suck because I found your show in there.
Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah.
Now, I don't.
No, that's true. That stuff's dope. Like the fact that you can make connections that you could never make, but we're going to make more progress and all this
They
stuff.
fucked up putting this.
But
They fucked
but it
up.
also sometimes I'm like, I just got to get this out of my brain. Like
Yeah,
the people you sometimes get focused on and then sometimes people attack you
It
for
can be
no
very
reason.
overwhelming,
You have to
actually.
lose your ego about it 100%.
You have to lose your ego.
Dude,
And the issue with that is that this is a very egotistical space. Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot
It
of
is.
competition between people and like influencers and content creators and whatever. And like, that's something that I found very tiring is just like dealing with the egos in this field.
Well,
Like,
it's so ironic, right? Because it's like
people say I've got a massive ego. Maybe I do, but
Well, UFOs should be like this sacred thing, and instead you have all this like jockeying around, like I want to be the disclosure person or this or that.
called
So
our
it's
system.
also dumb.
exactly. And it's a cottage industry.
Well,
Like, there's a lot
capitalism,
of
right?
money to be made. Like, people don't think there's any money in UFOs. Like, have you been to some of these conferences where they've got like the
Right.
whole place hired out and it's like, there's money there, dude. Like,
Question.
there's
Right.
money there.
Yeah, that's
like,
how they compromise you
yeah,
for anything.
And then all the CIA people are at these conferences.
Yeah, they
like,
are,
embedded
yeah.
within the crowd, talking to people.
I was
like,
never offered money, okay? I don't want to say these things I'm saying, but they won't pay me.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
not
I'm
say them.
Still waiting
Yeah.
for my paycheck.
Have they even thought to do that?
Yeah.
100%.
Not once.
Rude.
Why?
Rude.
Yeah.
Because my cape isn't as nice as some people's capes,
Yeah.
and my onc staff, yeah, maybe I got at Party City before I came here, but don't show that I have esoteric knowledge. And yeah, maybe my cult leader sunglasses are, I got them at the 7-Eleven before I came here when I got my claws.
Well,
That don't mean I don't know what I'm talking about.
I offered way too much, more money than I can afford, to be honest, to have Kirkpatrick come on my show, and then my buddy doubled it.
Yeah,
So now it's
I
at,
saw
it's at
that.
100K.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't think he's gonna come, but I think
No.
it's a revealed preference
who's
that
that?
he's being paid
What are you
off.
saying?
Sean Kirkpatrick, you know who this guy is?
Okay.
He's not meta bad enough for you because you want only pro-disclosure people to be bad, but there are anti-disclosure people who are also bad.
People,
it's too simple.
But it's also like,
I'm
you
not
know,
judging you good or bad. I judge if you lie.
I definitely.
Well, he's a liar.
I definitely
I'll tell you that much.
right, but I definitely get frustrated with like the pro-disclosure activists who are kind of like anyone who's coming out from the government who isn't Lou Elizondo is wrong about what they're saying, and it's like, yeah, okay, but like again, I would say that someone like Lou, for example,
but on the facts, Kirkpatrick got so much wrong in that
right.
article.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not disparaging that. Like, you know, Sean is a shady character.
Shady,
but so is Lou.
Sure.
So's the guy that drops fake UFO photos on stage and in congressional settings, and they get debunked in 24 hours.
He was wrong long before that.
So much is, but I know, bro. I've been following it for a long time.
Okay, so Saj Baron Cohen, who by the way, has a mutation in his eye that he can read tiny writing that no one can see.
Are you
That's kind of cool.
So
fucking awesome.
What a wild little superpower to have.
That dude don't improv. He writes the lines you say.
Holy shit.
Word for word.
Yeah.
When he would go in character. When he would, dude, he would go in character. So we did this billionaire character, Geo. And he's talking to a yacht salesman about putting girls in a boat. And now I want to tell you, all these pranks, it's all these rich kids that are funny kids, and they burn family connections to do pranks. Okay, this is 2017. I'm doing this. Hysterical shit, dude. And we had these people. We had Dick Cheney on. He asked him to sign his waterboard, and all
that was
stuff.
hilarious. He goes, my waterboarding kit. He goes, well, he signed my waterboard.
My favorite was
so.
Oh,
funny.
is this in the This Is America?
Who is America?
Who is America?
Oh my god, some of that was disturbing, bro.
Yeah. So every time I go, no one is going to fall for this. This is too stupid.
Right.
Okay. I was wrong. I was not right one.
Right.
Dude, they did these fake charities I wrote about, like skinny shaming the kids of Sudan and say, my body, my choice. Like we had some rockers go, they'll say anything because the camera's on them. It was unbelievable. But the Geo one, that's when I talked to Weinstein, because his story of meeting Epstein, it sounded like what we did on the show. Like, was Epstein doing a prank show? And then I realized, we were doing what an intel operation is.
But
and
for
here's
fun.
the thing.
Right.
So I had some ones I think are funny, and I thought they were so stupid. Who would fall for this? But in Georgia, Eran Marad, the Israeli
oh my
commando.
god, that blew my mind, dude. And when he was getting the guy to have like the little teddy bear guns for kids and stuff.
Oh
and,
yeah, they did that before. I did it where they built a mosque, so in case they'd active shooter
it's
training.
so funny. Yeah,
and he's like, you build your cubicle into a mosque so they can't attack you. The guy's wearing a turban and genie shoes.
Holy shit.
And he's like, has a flute and a rubber. I mean, come on. And so I was like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm a Muslim. He goes, what are you eating? Hummus. Okay. And then the office camouflage. Then I had the pork shield and the gay pork. You're gay. Like to chase the shooter out.
Yeah. And they actually do it. That's the thing that's crazy about it. These people who are like senators, they were actually on the show doing it.
That's right.
So what do? I move towards him with my ass, like, and say, America, America.
How see what the thing is from what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These people are fucking actors. The guy from the Federal Reserve. Why do we have to borrow money that we print?
Right.
Yeah. What the?
Who's
that
running
should
this?
sit with you worse than any UFO story.
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck? None of you know how anything works? I feel like I shouldn't have better intel than the President of the United States. I don't think it's because I'm a super spy. I think because there's a big problem at the top.
That kind of goes back to the UFO subject in terms of like, do they even know what's going on? Like they barely even know what's going on in the Federal Reserve. Do they really know what's going on with like, ancient aliens and like any of this stuff?
It makes it rife for counter intel because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's both real and it's ephemeral, and so it's so co-optable. It's a Rorschach test. You can say it's that. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can say it's like all these things. Yeah, I know it's Schrodinger. Yeah, thank you.
He was all the physicists are Schrodinger had a journal of the 12-year-old girls he would court. He said no one should go to. Oh, dude,
Schrodinger.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
When you look into and how about the physicist? I bet you met him who invited Rogan to Epstein Island. These people, you'd be shocked.
Wait, who invited Rogan to Epstein Island?
Krauss.
No shit.
No, really, Lawrence Krauss.
Really?
What do you mean, no, really? He's got a record.
Lawrence Krauss is on Epstein Island, but did he invited Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I won't say no more than that. I mean, a lot of people got invited. A lot of people got invited.
Stephen Hawking was out there as well.
Oh, people go, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
If Stephen Hawking was there, he's the victim, stupid. He's in a wheelchair.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
No, but I think again, it's like, like something like that. Something like that, though, it could be the fact that, like, hey, there's this individual called Jeffrey Epstein. He's very interested in science. He's funded a lot of stuff. Would you be willing to come to his private island? He'd love to, like, host you. And it's like, cool, I'll go do that. Then you leave. You had no idea that it was an island of rapists. You know
100%.
what I mean? Like,
and they're arbitraging stagnation in academia.
Yeah.
Where, like, nothing vital or interesting is happening.
Right.
So you pay them off. You have prestige, and you have you have probably of age girls, and some of these guys are single. I mean, for God's sakes, you have one paraplegic who can't talk or whatever, and it's like they don't know, you know. And or in certain cases they probably did, but in others they didn't.
It's a mixed bag.
Friends
It's
of
a
mine,
mixed bag.
Yo, I mean, Bobby Slayton went to his house in Europe. I know Bobby Slayton didn't do something. A rich guy and you're a comic.
Yeah.
Let's hang out, go to this thing. You get creeped out and they're watching. How do you respond to this? Eric Weinstein explained it.
Yeah.
He got the American flag coffin table to see if he'd spill his drink on it.
Yeah. The Weinstein thing's crazy because he was like, it was almost like Epstein knew about his theory.
Of
like,
course he did.
Right, but like as he produced it, it was like Epstein was tracking this shit.
Right.
And it was like, oh, you produced it, boom, come up, like, come.
Bit too fast.
Yeah, a bit too fast.
And Intel
a high frequency trader for like theories of everything and interesting science and shit.
Yeah, that's interesting. What you just said. It is like high, because it's like, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's rigged. You could bet in the market, but it's high frequency trading, so you'll never get access to it before certain people do.
Right.
And that's how we have this secrecy.
Well, I kind of wonder. So this is getting into really weird territory, but it's like I wonder if he was a fly trap for like deeper, like exotic propulsion science.
Yeah,
You know,
I
he was
wonder about that.
obsessed
I
with
wonder about that.
He was obsessed with the
He
Casimir
was.
effect.
Yeah.
The Casimir effect.
Of course.
The Casimir effect being like, this sort of dark energy shown between two non-charged but conductive plates that seem to attract. That like geckos. This is a real force.
Yeah.
And he's like, how could we harness this ostensibly for propulsion? Like,
I mean, this is like not really like necessarily evidence, but I think it's interesting. There was that woman, I can't remember which one it was, who was a victim who did like the murals and the paintings.
Maria
Farmer. And like there's a mural called like the Centiles, which is like the elite spelled backwards. And it's like this big mural of all the different people that were associated. Les Wexner, you can see all the characters. Ghislaine Maxwell's depicted as a dragon biting a child in half. It's all very nasty stuff. And then there's also an antenna going up with an FBI flag on it with a flying saucer hanging off the top of it with Epstein's face inside the window.
What?
So it's like, okay. So like, who knew and what was he actually trying to achieve in terms of his own scientific ideas and explorations? And obviously, like I said, he's funding all of these different movements. He knew everyone on the Nobel Peace Prize board.
Yeah.
Like
I have
everyone.
an answer for you, brother, because I give it up to Daniel on this. Here's what's his name? The wheelchair robot man.
Stephen Hawking.
He was those ruins that came out in National Geographic of possible Atlantis, and then they never talked about it again.
Right.
And the pictures were online. You can see
what, underwater or?
He went in a submarine to go look at that. Remember Ghislaine? Really cares about the ocean.
the Terramar project. Like she had a whole thing going on there, which is interesting.
She's the controller, not Epstein.
Do you know about Terramar?
She's the handler.
It's like their kind of like overseas and like Atlantic Ocean trading network they were trying to establish with people like who's the guy behind Virgin?
Branson.
Branson, and like he hosted them all on his island for the Terramar project. It's like basically these elites setting up some sort of like, I don't even know how to say it. Like they kind of considered it their own country because when she was being interviewed, she was asked if she's a citizen of any other country, and she said Terramar. It's like, okay, so what is Terramar?
That, dude.
She did. She said it was her other citizenship.
Yes.
And it's like this elite network of trading routes and shipping containers,
yes.
right? Going around places like near Antarctica, off the grid, and it was being held by all these fucking huge elites. So there's something about the Terramar project, man. Like,
dude, I forgot
that went under the radar. Like,
no.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa, I forgot that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
That's wild. Well, I sometimes wonder if on that note, this is crazy speculative, but like, you know, William Stevenson is
maybe by face, not name.
He was Churchill's super spy, but he helped start the CIA with Wild Bill Donovan, OSS, and he was really close with a lot of like U.S. based scientists like Charles Steinmetz and Thomas Townsend Brown. They were close confidants, and he was doing a lot of stuff in and around the Caribbean, the Bahamas, the Virgin Islands, and he ended up spending the rest of his career in the Caribbean doing like shady trade stuff. And I wonder if there's a connection between like I feel like he and Robert Maxwell had to have known each other through MI6 circles or something. So I don't know. I mean, this is getting crazy.
It is
Well, Eric
interesting.
Hecker said, did Eric, I don't know if he said on that thing, but so the people he worked for.
Yeah.
So, you know, people go, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, but he's not the richest man in the world. What do you think they would put that in Forbes?
Right. Richest man disclosed.
They're
publicly.
telling that to you,
publicly.
idiots.
Yeah.
I go back and forth on that. I don't know. Are you guys sure?
I'm not sure of anything.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
I'll bet
I agree that like maybe
FTX
it's like
bucks.
I mean, you know,
that's $0.
Old money people that have got like holdings in other countries and like vaults of treasure and things like that.
Well, people think, you know, poor people think people are rich and you're like, hey, you're a rich kid, and they have no concept of what it's like at certain levels to not understand. The rich kids don't think they're rich. I'm not rich. That guy's rich. You know, you always have a new.
Yeah.
And I live in New York and I did comedy, so I could just go to all the things and get a perspective on what shit is, right? And that's the compartmentalization, and that's how it's supposed to be. And so are there hybrid kids? Yeah. When they say bloodlines, it sounds spooky. Why do we keep track of royalty at all still? Does anybody wonder that? Why do I give a shit about Meghan and Harry and the prince? British people I know don't even care about it. I guess they're a human flag. Is that their deal?
Most of the younger generation fucking hate the royals.
Of course. All populist things got to be crushed.
Right.
So how do you crush them? With nonsense distractions. It's endless, dude. But
well, I mean,
we got woke after Occupy Wall Street. Remember that? Woke happened after that.
And that is a way of controlling populism because, you know, what do we see these days? When there's a populist front, it's just immediately a right-wing, far-right racist movement, and that's the way that we disregard it and we get rid of it. And it's like a lot of these populist movements are just popping up because of the fact that it's a direct reaction to institutional power and control and censorship, and they turn it around and they switch it to make it seem like you don't want to be supporting these. You realize these are Nazis or racists. It's like,
but in Ukraine and Syria,
it's
cool.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I can't deal with the hypocrisy.
Those are the good ones.
Can't deal with that hypocrisy. Right, like let's all salute Azov Battalion, but you know, don't worry about like these people who are just trying to create some freedom in their own country. Like, you know, it's crazy. But
United Fruit Company.
We should talk about the pyramids. We haven't even got it.
I know. I was gonna.
Oh, sorry.
We gotta talk for a second.
All right, I gotta piss anyway. So.
All right, so do I. But I'll let you go first.
You go. Come back.
Maybe come back.
Maybe come back. Kurt, we've had Alex Jones on the show, and Kurt, you are 10x crazier than Alex Jones. And I
know
love
why the cage bird sings now. I used to judge Alex Jones, but I know why he's like that.
He's a cage bird?
Here, wait, hold the staff while I'm gone.
It's wonderful. Okay, we got this.
Man, you know, I love him.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He's great. He's great.
He's awesome.
It's kind of like if you brought me in and we were like, right, let's get some like dude from the underpass on as well, and bring him on, like dressed in his cape, like let me tell you about the secrets of the Illuminati. Nah,
if we were both on a mega dose of LSD.
That's what it feels like. Feels like I'm rolling on something pretty strong right now. No, that was really good, dude. Like the pyramids, though, we should talk about that. We should get into that.
What the fuck is going on? What's under the pyramids? What's happening? Because you're in touch with the research team that found this through the synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, these structures, and they're reconstructing the structures. Is any of this real?
Yeah, I mean, like my opinion on it is at this point, there's 100% things underneath the Giza Plateau and the pyramids. Whether or not we can completely correlate that to the very interesting 3D models that they've created, I think that's more of, you know, kind of an inspired artistic recreation. But at this point, I would say it's undeniable that they are finding significant subterranean signatures below the Giza Plateau. And like, there's been so many assumptions. Like even actually driving here on the way, I got into a talk with my Uber driver and I was like, you heard about the pyramid scans? He was like, yeah, but like none of it's been like done before and none of it's been peer reviewed, right? And I was like, no, that's not right. So in 2022, they actually did a Giza, the Great Pyramid of Giza scans, and they found hidden chambers beneath the Great Pyramid, which they then were peer reviewed and accepted and is fully just like a validated thing. Now, granted, they weren't saying that there were huge structures underneath, but that's because they were tuning the technology to specifically look at a localized area of the pyramid, and that's when they found these hidden chambers at that time, 2022. But they've also done experiments in Italy at the Gran Sasso Laboratory, which is 1.4 kilometers inside a mountain, and they mapped it out. They managed to find the centrifuge and like the areas that they were focusing on, and they've produced tomography scans showing the subterranean infrastructure of the Gran Sasso Laboratory. And they've also done the Mosul Dam in Iraq, and they use it for structural integrity for bridges. Professor Filippo Bionde, who's the synthetic aperture radar expert on the team, works for the Italian government. Serious guy. Real fun, like such a nice dude. And I've had like the pleasure of, because I put out that video, which was only like 8 minutes long, just kind of saying, hey guys, like there's this team and they're doing this, kind of blew up. Joe Rogan played it, like, you know, so like I got connected to the team quite quickly because they saw my viral video on it. And yeah, I was out in Malta with them a few days ago, actually, before the Carolina conference, and for their first international conference, where Filippo Bionde was presenting in a lot more detail the scans, the science behind it. Granted, some people struggle with the dialect. I think in the UK, it's a little easier for us because we're used to European dialects like Italian and French and German, and the Americans seem to struggle a bit more because they have got quite a thick accent, and they are trying their best, but they're speaking English, which isn't their first language. But it's very interesting because what they're doing is they're not scanning 2 kilometers into the earth, 5 kilometers into the earth. Like, you know, they're not penetrating using radar in that way because that's impossible. That's what a lot of the mainstream critiques were doing, including some people that I just think, why did you not do your homework? Like Flint Dibble, like this archaeologist in this world, right? Yeah. Like, he's just like, they've never tested it. It's never been done. It's like, wrong. Like they have, if you actually just spend 10 minutes trying to find it instead of having a knee-jerk reaction because it's going against your model. And that seems to be such the case with mainstream archaeology, mainstream history and science, is if it goes against the model, there's a knee-jerk reaction and they didn't actually do the homework. So like, yeah, like what
So we have detected other underground things using SAR Doppler tomography.
Using SAR Doppler tomography.
This
Absolutely.
is a thing that we can do.
It's a thing, but this is certainly a thing within a niche community, and Bionde, Filippo Bionde seems to be the one that's really specialized in that. So it's not like a general accepted mode. It's like a novel sensor fusion.
But it's funny, I even watched Sabine Hassenfelder's like video on this. She's a, you know, kind of a mainstream physicist. Critical of string theory and stuff, but like pretty conventional and like well regarded. And she was like, you can, you know, map magma chambers and volcanoes using SAR Doppler tomography. And then she, like you said that they took liberties, obviously, on the reconstruction, you know, this sort of energy grid that it seems to be mapped out. Right. That might be a bit of a stretch. I don't know. But I
think it's interesting that it doesn't sit in a vacuum because you've got historical reference to labyrinthian passageways beneath the plateau and entranceways into the halls of records. Like there are old, going all the way back to ancient Greece and further, of like, you know, statements from people who went to Egypt and wrote about like being taken into these corridors, and then early like 1800s explorers who said the same kind of a thing. Wow. And then, like I was saying to you before, even Zahi Hawass before about 1993 was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, you know, there is definitely a pattern to be connected in relation to like subterranean infrastructure, and we find that across Egypt anyway, regardless of the plateau. Like there's a lot of different places that are subterranean and seem to be of a different stonework, of a different kind of method to what we then see with dynastic Egyptian temples.
Yeah.
Same with the pyramids as well, actually, because one of the biggest signifiers of that is the fact that there's absolutely zero hieroglyphs in the pyramids. There's not one other than the cartouche that's written in red ochre that we attribute to Khufu, which, by the way, if you look into the images of that red ochre cartouche that's been drawn on and compare it to some other red ochre marks that were found inside the pyramid, it's so obvious that this is basically just drawn on with lipstick. It's fresh. It's got like flaking from the ochre on it, but the older stuff, it's like the ochre's gone. It's just ionized onto the rock. So it's like a shadow imprint of this very light red ochre. This stuff is like literally like someone got lipstick. And that's the only thing that we attribute to Khufu for the Great Pyramid. This is like this 1800s explorer, I forgot his name, like Voss or Vass something. And he was hired by the British Museum. He was running out of funding. He was running out of time. Lo and behold, he suddenly finds the signatures of Khufu written in very suspicious ochre. So other than that, there's no hieroglyphs in the pyramids. Now, I've been to like the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens, where they've got these tombs and they've got these entranceways. And it is literally, you can't even find a square inch which isn't covered in motifs and symbols and gold calligraphy. Go into the pyramids and it's just blank. There's literally nothing inside the pyramids other than precision engineering and the studies of acoustic signatures in the King's Chamber, which show that it was acoustically engineered.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know,
do you think there was some sort of, because you've covered this in other contexts too, in Malta and other places, do you think there's some sort of ancient acoustic based technology
This is one of the things that interests me the most, and like we call it archaeoacoustics, and there's also a term psychoacoustic architecture, the idea that some of this architecture is deliberately designed to produce harmonics that then influence the brain. And 1 second, my brother, let me just get off this tangent. And then so they a really
30
interesting
minutes uninterrupted.
a really interesting element of like the acoustics. You just mentioned Malta.
Yes.
So I got back from Malta recently. There's a temple in Malta, this subterranean temple.
Yes.
Carved directly out of the limestone. They date it back to the Neolithic Stone Age period, but that's just because they can't date it back any further with conventional narratives, right?
Yeah.
And this place is precision tuned to 111 hertz. Like they've done enough studies in there to show that this place called the Oracle Room resonates at 111 hertz. It's this like incredible overlapping architecture, like these kind of like multiple layers of like concaves and entranceways. And inside the Maltese subterranean chamber of the Hypogeum, they actually found elongated skulls. One of them's on display in the Valletta Museum.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about these skulls in particular, unlike some of the ones in like Peru where you've got evidence of head binding, is that this skull actually lacks the sagittal suture, which is the vertical crack that goes all the way down the head. When the two parietal bones are pushed together when we go through the birth canal and fuses the skull together.
Yeah.
So we have one going across here and then one going all the way down the skull. That one doesn't have it. So that's like it's an adult skull. It's not an infant skull. So this thing was walking, talking, and acting around without a critical component of our bone structure.
What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, like there's one in Valletta, but the story goes, and it's even written in the museum, and you hear it from the Maltese locals that they found fucking hundreds of these skulls. Then the guy who finds it mysteriously dies. Someone from like some Smithsonian Institute takes over. All those skulls vanish away.
What does that person look like in their time?
Exactly. Like, you know, we don't know. Like, you know, there's recreations of it that kind of look like an alien gray. Like, you know, it's like they don't really know how it looked, but it's elongated enough to be significantly different to a human being. And then, like, the Maltese legends in that area are that there were giants once on these islands and that they helped build these temples. Because what's crazy about Malta, other than the fact that it's got the largest concentration of megalithic stone building sites in the world, like, there are, like, so many there. But when the Bronze Age settlers from Italy and Sicily went over to Malta for the first time, they were already there. No people, just temples everywhere. And so we don't know who were the original builders of these temples. But it goes back to your question about acoustics. Like, there's so much acoustic knowledge that seems to be incorporated into megalithic, Neolithic, Stone Age, stone building cultures. And that is not something that you can just arrive at naturally. We're not talking about like the creation of a flute. We're talking about multi-ton geometric alignment, not just with solstice and equinox and all that incredible stuff, but also acoustically resonant in a way that when chanting or any sort of like mantra is performed in these sites seems to excite the brain in certain ways, bringing it into alpha state, bringing it into meditative states of consciousness.
Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And how have we tested?
So we've tested like things like Stonehenge and again the Hypogeum for the acoustic wavelength that's propagated naturally through it when we chant, when we hum, when we drum, and 111 hertz is what they find in the Hypogeum. There's like quite a few studies actually done on this where they've concluded.
And then what they're doing like.
And then so like you look at binaural tones and the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences and the stuff that we're at a fledgling level. This is what's so impressive is that we seem to be at a very fledgling level of understanding the acoustic effects on the brain. And these people seem to have been fucking masters of it. Like,
but
literally.
we'll like play like an instrument now, and then we'll do some like EEG scan of the brain or something while we're doing that in this Hypogeum.
Yeah, I mean, like
structure.
They've done a series of acoustic tests, not only just to test the bandwidth of it, which comes out at 111 hertz, but then like actually like scanning the brains and seeing how people react inside these kind of a chamber. But also, like, you know, you put some headphones on and listen to your favorite music. You can laugh, you can cry, you can want to work out, want to fight someone. Like, it changes your emotions. So we know that acoustics has a profound impact on our perception, our emotions. And the fact that some of these places seem to have been tuned to hertz ranges that excite the brain and change the brainwave state into theta and alpha. I would say that there is an ancient science of like conscious induction, like acoustically induced, conscious expansion. And then you see these elongated heads, you start wondering, you know.
See the elongated heads, you see astronomical alignment with a lot of this megalithic architecture that seems just very odd if not intentional. Like it probably was intentional.
Once you get a pattern around the world of different sites that have the same kind of a tuning, like Newgrange in Ireland, Malta, the pyramids of Giza, like all of them have, I mean, the pyramids are an incredible example. It's a perfect scale. I can't actually remember what the scale is, but a lot of these places, like there'll be an error of margin of like the actual kind of hertz range. The pyramids are perfectly scaled as you kind of rise up through the Grand Gallery into the King's Chamber. The acoustics that have been picked up are like the perfect number. It's like no margin of error. So it's like this incredibly tuned building.
So fascinating. And it's funny when you hear Randall Carlson or Graham Hancock or, you know.
I was hanging out with him.
I love how cool
such
is
a cool
he?
guy. Yeah,
He's the
like
best.
Such a cool dude.
He's like Hagrid or something.
Yeah, he is.
The
He's
wizard.
He's like our
another...
personal alternative history Hagrid.
He's awesome. And like he'll say stuff, you know, about like possible, you know, ancient acoustic technology, and you laugh it off, and then you realize that you've talked about this. There's a field called cymatics, where you put sand on vibrational plates. You know that there's a real effect there. We know that electromagnetic fields affect the body via, you know, cellular communication occurs via, voltage-gated ion channels, which get affected by local EMFs.
So I was doing an interview with a guy called David Elkington recently, who's like he would call himself a recovering academic because he came from that world and is now seeing things in a different set of eyes. And he's really interested in the acoustics of the ancients. And I'm going to have some images of this in my podcast because he actually did some experiments alongside some other scientists in the King's Chamber where they stretched a membrane over the sarcophagus of the King's Chamber like a Chladni plate, like a cymatic plate, and they put Egyptian sand on the plate, and they sent vibrational frequencies that matched the frequency of the King's Chamber through it, and it turned into the Eye of Horus.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I've seen photos of it where it literally is pretty much on point with the Eye of Horus, which would suggest what? That the King's Chamber was tuned to an acoustic, that the cymatic of which is a representation of part of their own language.
Well, you see...
Like, what does that say?
Their level of sophistication well beyond us. I mean, you see, like... You go to Chichen Itza and you like will clap and hear this bizarre
amazing.
Noise, or like, you know, during the equinox, you know, you get a snake running down the steps, and it's like we can barely do that stuff
and
now.
What did Tesla say about frequency and vibration? That this is the key.
Totally.
This is the key to the universe, to understanding it. And I think that there's a real truth to that. And whatever these people in the prehistoric time were doing, they seem to have a very advanced knowledge of how to attain transcendental states through acoustics. And like you said, with the cymatics and the geometry, it is fascinating that when you vibrate these sands on these plates and you get these geometries that are essentially the visual signature of the sound you're hearing, you will then find them in pretty much every religion, monotheistic or otherwise, represented in the geometry of the cathedrals, in the paintings, in the motifs. Once you understand and look at and recognize cymatic geometry and what it is, you go into these places with new eyes, man. You're staring around and you're just like, well, there we go. There's a clear pattern that is a harmonic signature, and it's written on the wall. And so it would seem, and also what's one of the most prominent things inside of churches, it's not actually the crucifix, it's the pipe organ. The pipe organ is the most prominent thing. I think that these places were deliberately designed, and like the Gothic cathedrals are a fantastic example of potentially reaching an apex point with this. You know, this lineage of acoustic knowledge that seems to stretch all the way back into prehistory.
Yeah, well, even the Freemasons would say like the Brothers of the Serpent from Egypt, or there's some like connection.
And they had their hand in building the Gothic temples.
Building the Gothic temples, yeah.
And these things are not just geometrically incredible when you look at them, but they are also acoustically profound and, like, you know, meant to be these spaces for induction into the mysteries via sound.
Speaking of acoustics, you've talked to Stuart Hameroff, anesthesiologist who's also fascinating guy. Worked with Roger Penrose, Nobel Prize-winning physicist, who dares to broach the question in physics: how do we see kind of macroscopic reality when it's sort of supposed to be quantum and probabilistic? And I think they present a very bold theory that might be right. I don't know, but it deals with this sort of. I think maybe the most underrated part of it is that there could be some geometric component, because there are pyramidal structures in the tubulin and the microtubules, right?
Yeah.
And that those maintain coherence.
Yep, as above, so below.
Right. So you wonder maybe if, like, you're in one of these sort of mega structures.
Yeah.
Does that somehow affect? Does it? If these things are maintaining coherence for a certain amount of time, while space-time superposition is building up to the one graviton limit, does that increase the amount of time so that you're staying in a coherent state? And then your perception, presumably, would be very altered.
I think that might play a role. And, like, you know, this is, again, it's such an interesting thing when you look at, like, the bleeding edge of mainstream physics and quantum theory. And they're only just getting to a point that seems to have been represented in the ancient past. Now, I'm not going to say that they were quantum physicists, but they might have got it from intuitive processes or maybe older knowledge. But it's clearly represented in things like the pyramids and the hypergeum, this kind of acoustic technology. And then, like you say, when we get into what that really does on the quantum level, on the level of microtubules and neurons, it changes us. It changes our perception. And maybe, like you say, this is an elongation of the process, kind of like drawing the process out even longer through sitting in these acoustic resonance complexes. But the pyramids are a weird one because there's a lot of different ideas and theories about what they could have been.
Yeah.
And multiple make sense. So it's almost like we're looking at a multivariate technology. It could be quite a few different things.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting guy that I bumped into in Malta, and I'm going to actually go out and meet him in Cairo when I go out there next month, because he lives out in Cairo with his girlfriend. He's American, but he's lived out there for a while. His name's Jeffrey. I can't remember his second name, but he's got a YouTube channel called The Land of Chem.
Okay.
You might have heard of it.
No, I've never heard of it.
Have you heard of it? Yeah. It's really interesting. His theory on like how these were essentially giant chemical plants. Wow. And because Egypt was originally called Kemet, and that's where we get chemistry from and alchemy. Like the build up from that comes to alchemy and chemistry, and like, you know, Hermes Trismegistus and all these, like, you know, alchemical type of minds. And it's really interesting when you kind of understand that these things were situated around a waterbed at one point. The Nile River was right next to them.
Right.
And then if we invoke these strange spiraling structures that they seem to have found, it could almost be drawing water up and producing an oasis, right? That these things might have actually been agricultural nodes that promoted fertility in the local area. And it's really interesting. I mean, his idea about it, because it even extends to like the dolmens and the henges that we find all over the world. They're all made out of like piezoelectric materials, rose quartz, like something high quartz concentration. And what his theory was, and I'll murder it because I don't know it properly, but it is really interesting, was that these are conduits for lightning. And the lightning would excite the piezoelectric materials, and this would in turn cause natron, I think it's called, to be infused into the ground, which promotes fertility and growth. Right. So
it's like a terraforming technology,
like a type 1 civilization of a different order using holistic technology from the earth, right?
It's so trippy, but that would so explain. I mean, I don't know, but it's like why is quartz being taken from the Aswan River Valley 500 miles away?
Yeah,
it's
in
crazy.
the form of 50 to 70 ton blocks, which is just insane.
Wow.
And one of the things I brought up in my presentation, which is not necessarily about that kind of technology or lightning strikes or anything, but just about multi-ton stone lifting. There's a place in Lebanon called Baalbek. Interesting place, named after Baal, the storm lord. Baal, you know, this and is the Baalbek, lord of the Bekaa Valley.
Wow.
Which, funnily enough, if you read the Book of Enoch, the Watchers, right, the weird beings came down on Mount Hermon in Lebanon. So this is like this weird ground zero point for the ancient stories of these fucking wherever these beings were, right? But Baalbek in Lebanon is a quarry site where you've got 3 megalithic blocks that weigh, one of them's like 1,200 tons, and it goes up to 1,800 tons. Absolutely insane megalithic blocks made of limestone. They never left the quarry. But 500 meters up the road, give or take, you've got this place called the Temple of Jupiter, which we attribute to 1st century Romans. A lot of the temple was built by 1st century Romans, it's obvious. But the foundations and some of the upper tiers of the foundations, right? There's a series of stones called the trilithon stones, which are raised about 30 feet above the foundation blocks and placed with precision. They weigh, conservative range, 800 tons each, coming up to about 1,000 tons. The Romans bragged about their heaviest lift, which was the Lateran obelisk, which sits in Rome, taken from Alexandria to Rome, weighs about 350 to 400 tons. So even at a conservative estimate, these Baalbek stones are double the weight of what the Romans claimed to be their heaviest lift. They never spoke about Baalbek. They never spoke about lifting these stones. But mainstream archaeologists will attribute it to the 1st century Romans because they found the foundation and they built their Roman temple above it. So they look at it, go, Roman temple, it's all Roman. What about those 800-ton stones that were impossible for them to lift with wooden pulleys? No, Roman, shut up.
800
Yeah,
ton.
800, and that's conservative. They could be up to 1K.
Wow.
And like, to give you some like, you know, perspective on that, you'd need like one of the biggest cranes in the world, like I think it's called like the Liebherr 17000 or something, to actually lift that with precision and place it. And we believe that they did it with wooden pulleys and ropes. It's ridiculous and crazy. So like there are so many places around the world where it seems ancient foundations, Peru as well. Peru is like
Peru's full of
smoking gun
Yeah.
of ancient history and contrasting between what we attribute to the Inca and what is so clearly megalithic multi-ton precision from a time long before them.
Totally.
And even they will say that, like the indigenous oral traditions of the Peruvian shamans will say that they found Sacsayhuaman
And if you look at
and
the Nazca
Ollantaytambo,
lines,
the Nazca lines.
there are
you know.
no roads leading up to
No,
the lines.
sir,
And so
no.
you'd be like excavating all this earth, but
For
you don't
what?
know how or
Yeah,
for what.
for what?
And then from the highest vantage point locally, the lines don't make any sense. You have to
No.
be at least like, I think, 150 meters
Totally
in
an
the air.
aerial.
In an aerial, yeah,
thing.
for it to make any sort of comprehensive sense. It makes no sense. It literally like doesn't make sense unless you're from an
Yeah.
aerial perspective. So it's, I was going to ask you actually on the Malta thing, if you have these sort of beings with the elongated skull. I was just down in Peru.
Oh,
And
I'm so jealous.
it
How
was
long were you there for?
2 days.
Oh,
Don't be
that's
jealous.
not enough
man.
time.
Not at all. Don't be jealous because I was in and out. I got sick.
Oh,
So
yeah. No, yeah, dude, I've heard
but
that, like-
I saw there are there's 3-fingered, 3-toed beings, the tridactyl
Yeah,
beings
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and they apparently, according to these forensic experts, don't appear to have undergone the sort of traditional head binding rituals that
Right.
you'd expect.
Right. And some
And
of them apparently have like metal inside them,
they
like
have
implants.
osmium and cadmium inside of them, which are rare earth metals that were found in the 18th and 19th century. So super strange.
You know what's weird about that as well? Is I
Mm.
kind of feel like there was an intelligence psyop done on that very early on because Jaime Maussan showing those kind of ones that were absolutely fake, like the ones that were literally just like bone and
I'm
plastic.
not even oh yeah.
No, there was one that was like proven to
But
just
that's
be
not Jaime. That was
bullshit,
Flavio Estrada. That
oh,
was
I apologize, Jaime Maussan, for attributing that to you.
Well, because
Um,
it is important because Jaime's gotten so much flack,
Right.
and I'm sure he has gotten behind BS, hoaxes
Yeah.
in the past. But I spent some time with the guy, and like
Right.
he's just a cool. He's like he looks at the fact pattern, and he's extremely open about scientists coming down, like taking.
Yeah.
He spent a ton of his own money to like protect this stuff, and he's very like boldly stated in a way where like he gets stuff wrong, but he's like it's real, like that's
Yeah.
it. But I got no like
No, but
weird
what I
surreptitious
meant by
vibes
that is
from
like
there.
early on, before the tridactyls, before these very impressive large ones
Yep.
were really discovered, there was that little one.
So so in 2023, so Jaime rolled out the J type, which is not my highest conviction body type for being real. There's an M type. Those are like the more hominid ones. The J types
Right.
look more like the kind of Close Encounters of the Third Kind thing, but they also look
Yeah.
reptilian. The bodies look a little.
Yeah.
They look fake. And so I wouldn't have rolled out one of those. I
These
would have
ones
rolled out.
don't look fake.
These ones,
These
the M
ones do
types
not look fake.
don't look fake at all. And so he rolled that out. But what you might be referencing is then at the airport, there's this guy named Manuel Caceres, who's a local journalist, who made merchandise as
Right.
a knockoff of that.
That might be where I'm getting my wires crossed.
And everybody got their wires crossed
Yeah.
because then Reuters picked that up, and this guy Flavio Estrada, this official archaeologist from the Ministry of Culture, that's similar to Zahiwas, man. It's the same shit.
Right.
They were like, "This is fake" because of this like wood glue, these things stuck together, which are obviously.
Obviously.
And I interviewed this guy, and he's like, "This was art. This was not the real thing," and he's like yelling and stuff.
I repeat, that one is fake. It's craftsmanship, constructed, built.
So what I find interesting is when you were describing your Maltese, the
heads, yeah.
that sounded so similar
Right.
to honestly what I saw. I was like, that maybe there were some beings or whatever.
I mean, I don't discount it, man. I really don't, because there's so many references in different cultures and countries to, the times of giants. And it's like,
Right.
I love that in Genesis. Like, not that I've really read the Bible, but I love that in Genesis, where it's just like, there were giants in those times and in the times before that. Great, mighty men of renown.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on. Like, it's like, whoa, I want to know a bit more about the giants, please. But,
Yep.
they don't really tell you much about it. I think that there's a level of truth to at least some sort of interface with something that, if not giant in stature, giant in intellect, right? You go down to like the Dendara temples in Egypt where you've got the light bulb, the kind of the classic light bulb.
I don't know.
Oh, it's incredible. Like, people call it a light bulb or a Crookes tube because it's like this big Atlantean style like pharaoh, and the only reason you can say he's a big pharaoh is because you've got depictions of very little people below, like kind of praying and like in reverence of him.
Wow.
And he's holding, this, right, Kurt? He's holding this giant kind of like bowled out. You must. It's such a famous.
Maybe. I don't
know. But it's like this big light bulb almost with a snake running through it, and there's even like a cord that's coming back through it, and then running along the wall into like a box that's just like etched into it. Right. It's a very interesting iconography of, and it's not repeated around Egypt. This is just in this subterranean element of the Dendera temple. I've got footage, so I can send it to you.
Oh yeah,
lace it in or whatever.
Yeah,
like that.
Do it.
But you know, this whole idea of like intellectual giants. You know, like people who were just so superior to us. And you know, you think of like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, where we attributed that area to just hunter-gatherers. Then lo and behold, this, you know, incredible ancient, the oldest megalithic temple site pops up out of the ground. And the mainstream will just say, "Oh, I guess the hunter-gatherers did that." Yeah. It's like, well, that makes absolutely no fucking sense.
No sense.
Because did they get out of their deer hide tents one day and just start erecting multi-ton stone with astronomy alignments?
Like a sundial. It's like
a sundial, and it was purposely buried.
Right.
Intentionally buried. So I get the sense that maybe they were like, you know, kind of like survivors of that pre-time, like this cataclysm that I think clearly did take place. There was pockets of survivors who went, and where would you go? You'd go to the hunter-gatherers, right? You'd go to the ones who knew how to live. Because you're just a fucking idiot. You're an intellectual. You've been preaching in Atlantis for all your life. You're not someone who can, like, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what iconoclasm is?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Could Göbekli Tepe be iconoclasm?
It could be. Yeah, I think it could. Exactly. But it's interesting how, you know, this place is buried over, and it just makes me wonder about, like, you know, the hunter-gatherers of that era, and maybe they were like, you know what? We don't want you doing this again. Look what you brought down upon this world by inciting the wrath of gods. You tried to be the gods.
So they were like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
They went like Luddite on
they
like
fucking murdered these people and buried their site.
That's
like,
so
no, we're not doing this again. I wonder about that. But this idea of like, instead of literal giants of intellect, for sure, I think was the thing.
Well,
stood on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Well,
exactly.
I find the time we're in so exciting because I was just actually in the context of looking into these Peruvian mummies. I was looking up how fast these discoveries are occurring. And so I was doing this kind of calculation about like how much older has our civilization just gotten in the last 70 years? And like all these megalithic sites, a lot of them are like the last 70 to 100 years archaeology as a field is only 200 years old.
Exactly.
So it's almost, we should come up with some law where it's like the older the field gets, the civilization's going to get older, right? Like sophisticated civilization.
Right.
It's not like the Mesopotamia cradle of civilization thing is bullshit.
Yes.
And then similarly, I was looking up hominids, and like we have 21 to 30, depending on like how you categorize a hominid overall that have ever walked the earth. Guess how many of those have been discovered in the last 10 years?
Oh, go on.
5 as your base case, and then depending on how, again, strict you are with peer review and that sort of thing, 10 at the highest. So that's crazy.
A lot of them out there still that we haven't managed to categorize. And
so
understand.
many.
Yeah.
So I look at this thing in Peru, and I'm like, I feel like, I talked about this with Rogan a bunch, and I'm like, was I?
You crushed it, by the way. You crushed it.
Thanks, man. Well,
that's the hot seat of all hot seats, and you did a great job.
I was fucking nervous as hell.
Yeah, I bet you were.
I was fucking so nervous. Like when this came up, my self-critique is like I was too conservative. Like I gun in my head, man. I think we found a new hominid creature, and we're gonna DNA test it very soon. We're gonna do another DNA test.
Wait,
so like
you found it in Peru?
Yeah, so it's in Peru, and not because of me, but Jaime and my other friend is making this epic documentary. This guy Michael Mazzola,
right? Oh yeah,
documentary called "This Is Not a Hoax." Good dude.
Yeah.
He's gonna he's DNA testing it with these like independent aerospace contractors, and they're gonna do some double blind stuff. So there's no cheating allowed. So I love, and that's why when people like come at Jaime, the fact that Jaime is down to do this in a way that it could totally falsify, everything, is fucking awesome. And so I'm so pumped for this to just, it's, I think the definition of a grifter is someone who wants to keep something in a liminal space.
Absolutely.
I want it to collapse into true or false, and let's see. Man.
I want these things to be proven. That's why I'm in it. I want it to be evidenced. And I also think it's a BS excuse. Like, there's so many things to cover, and there's so many anomalies in the world. You're never going to run out of mysteries to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's try and prove some mysteries. Let's do that.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
There's a backlog. You know what I mean? But one thing. Do you want to hear my weird idea about the Greys?
Yeah, let's hear.
like, I don't know if this would explain everything in relation to the Greys, but I find it very interesting that there's a lot of Aboriginal stories from around the world that seem to be applicable to the Greys.
Yeah.
And you see some cave art in places like Australia and even the Native Americans, where you've got these large eyes, these large heads, and this depiction of them. And there's certain tribes, like the Hopi tribe, you got the ant people, and like these different stories where they would come up from the ground and they would assist people during times of great trouble and strife and geological trauma and famine, and they would teach them, right? And then you look at, there was a fascinating podcast that went out a few years ago where these two guys got some Amazonian tribesmen on the show, and they were straight up from the Amazon basin. They only spoke their own language. They needed an interpreter. They were in the headdress. They were fully, of that culture, and they asked them if they had any thoughts on aliens. They didn't know what they meant by alien. They were like, I'm sorry, can you explain that better? And so they got a magazine out and they're flipping through. They found an alien grey, and they showed this alien grey, and the Amazonian tribeman went, that's Makunwabu. That's Makunwabu. And then they went into this whole thing about how Makunwabu is a human that became an ant, and it lives underground, and it can appear in the divine light of Mishipan or whatever it was, which is their version of the holy light of something, right? And that it's a very dangerous creature, and it will take your soul underground, and you need a very good shaman to bring your soul back. And they were taking it very seriously. This other tribesman was going, yes, Makunwabu, you need to be very careful with that. And so my idea about this is that maybe there is a subterranean species that has lived on this planet for a long time, and a bit like the mycelial network, it went for the subterranean route. It didn't get affected by the surface traumas that happened to us. It didn't get reset by great fires and floods because they were deep into the ground. And if that's true, you have all these indigenous stories of beings coming from the underworld and assisting them. Big eyes, translucent grey skin, no sunlight, large eyes to adapt underground. Then you hear like the inner earth stories, and also coming out of our oceans, right? These UFOs. What if, just what if, there is another, and the missing subcategories of humans, like you just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And in Peru, you got the tunnel. So what if, just as an idea, there is a species that decided to opt in for subterranean living and has essentially been undisturbed since the beginning. And they are really, really, really advanced.
Right.
And that's what we think of the Greys.
So this fascinating.
Just an idea.
Could, who knows?
Throwing it out there.
Well, yeah, why not? And when they're very similar to us. And in Calqui, which is the local dialect of where these, in Nazca in Peru, where these mummies were found.
Yeah.
The local region translates to laboratory for insemination and hybridization.
What?
Yes. Yes.
What?
Yes.
In the actual language?
Yes. And you can see this. There's a book from 2006 where that shows this or whatever.
Dude, that's blowing my mind.
Nuts. So a part of me wonders, maybe there is some sort of guided, like maybe evolution is a locally functional theory via Darwin, but maybe there are, some artificial
other subsets of that.
interference.
Yeah, well, I think what would happen to us if we opted for underground, subterranean, dark living? Your eyes, your skin, it's all going to change dramatically. And yeah, I just wonder, because obviously they seem so hyper advanced, whoever the Greys are, either being in flying saucers or literally just appearing in your bedroom at night, or apparently helping tribes.
Yeah.
They seem to have a vested interest in us for some reason. Some would say it's experimentation. Others might say that they're actually, caring for us in some way. But yeah, the idea that this could actually be, like you say, one of those missing subsections of the human lineage, and they've just gone for that underground living, and they interface with us selectively.
Have you ever read? There's a book called The Coming Race. By Edward
Edward Bulwer-Lytton. That's the favorite of every neo-Nazi, right? Because whenever I put that out there, people are like, "Why are you promoting this Nazi material?"
Because Hitler was into it, or something.
And this is what got Graham Hancock in trouble, is when he went out and was talking about Atlantis. Suddenly, you had Rolling Stones and the Independent thing is a racist right-wing propaganda. And
Graham Hancock's the most boomer liberal.
Dude, he's got a multicultural family, for the love of God.
Yeah,
his wife's dark-skinned, and he's been called this racist piece of shit by the media.
And at the end of all of his speeches, he goes, "We need no nations." And we knew, what are you, that
You're
guy?
Racist? God. But but it's interesting. The Nazis were obsessed with Atlantis. Like the top tier of the SS and certain elements of the SS believed that the Germanic race was a seed race that came from these Lemuria and Atlantis, and they had a term for it, the Hyperboreans or something like that. And they would go all over. This is what's so crazy for a lot of people. It's like they see Indiana Jones, they just think think that's a film. That was a straight up documentary.
No,
man.
Heinrich Himmler
Like,
was looking for the Ark of the Covenant.
they were going through Peru and Nepal and Tibet. There's photos of them with like, you know, these like high llamas and there's like swastikas in the background. It's like, no, they were legitimately interested in doing that kind of stuff. And the issue that you run into these days is if you try and invoke Atlantis or you try and invoke Lemuria and you try and talk about that, the mainstream will say, well, you're just promoting racist right-wing ideology. This is the talking points of the Nazis. It's like, well, only because they found out about this stuff through ancient texts, man. Like, don't lump in the idea of Atlantis with neo-Nazis and the ideology of that era. Like, doesn't make any sense. They just picked up on it and became interested. But it's used as a way to attack. And that's what happened with Graham, very noticeably.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
No, there are always ways to bucket in. I mean, Nietzsche or whatever was not necessarily a Nazi. It was like his sister that got in with the Nazis. It's like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just mushy brain thinking and ways to scapegoat people ad hominem. But
what do you think about anti-gravity research and how far they got ahead? Because that's one of the big like lines of law is like, oh, it's German tech. It's German tech.
Dude, I don't know, but I find myself, the Scylla and Charybdis for me are like the people that say there's nothing. Because, dude, I'm so high conviction in the Townsend Brown stuff.
for sure.
And a lot of the Kammlerstab was totally real. And I think they were doing some really trippy shit.
Right.
I don't know exactly, I know way more fundamentally about what Brown was actually doing versus the Kammlerstab people. There's a lot of reason to believe I think Kammlerstab was doing frontier, interesting stuff that and that was part of the impetus for Paperclip and why we needed it so badly, and that the Habermal side made it to Russia, but we, needed to get a lot of, and we now even have Air Force documents knowing that Hans Kammler was apprehended by the Americans. So I think there's something real there. And then Townsend Brown himself parachuted behind enemy lines into Nazi Germany. And there's a telegram from William Stevenson, who I mentioned earlier, inspiration for James Bond, to Josephine, who's Townsend Brown's wife, saying that, your husband is safe, but he's been injured. And there's a photo of him and Catalina who's recovering. He had a lung injury. Yeah. So I think there's some weird connections there for sure. And then the Scylla and Charybdis is the people who are like, there's nothing here. Or they're posturing around it, even I love Eric Weinstein, but even him is like, it's always like hedging where it's like, there's a lot of, disinfo in the space and but look first principles at the Brown stuff. Like there is something there. So there's like this side where I like have to argue that there's something real here. And then there's like the Ashton Forbes side where like, again, nothing against him. And like, I'm down to have him on my show, like whatever. But like, he is so sure that we have like teleportation tech in, deep black circles. And I'm like, dude, where are you getting this?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. How can you know?
Me and him bumped heads quite a few times online. And then he was at the conference I was at a couple of days ago. It was the first time I met him. We shook hands and became friends in that sense.
Yeah,
but I don't agree with him, and I think MH370 is fake.
Yeah. No, I basically feel the same way. And I'm still happy to talk to the guy. But like, so I feel like those are the two failure. But the Brown stuff, I'm pretty sure is real.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure it was classified. Then to me, it's just a black box as to what happened next. And we were talking earlier about the disclosure stuff. That felt like I'll fucking talk to anybody. I don't care who they are, what their past is or whatever. The Brown stuff for me popped. It was like the most orthogonal to like all of the like shit getting like quote unquote like seemingly,
totally.
Like it was like this came out of left field. So like I know that shit's fucking real. It wasn't like somebody came out and was doing like the circuit of interviews and like saying something.
No, there's a trail of receipts for that. Absolutely.
So I'm really high conviction in that. And then beyond that, man, I don't fucking know. And it frustrates me and I wish we could make progress. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I'm in agreement with you. I find it fascinating, like, where do these stories come from? Like, the idea of like the Vril discs and, like the Nazi bell. And, so what's the origin point for this? Is it disinformation? Is it a smokescreen from Western intelligence, during Paperclip and like, let's say this stuff and we'll do this stuff over here. Look at the right hand while the left hand's doing something else. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there is a hell of a lot of kind of smoke screening involved in some of these rich laws within ufology, because it's about trying to protect the technology and keep it away from people. So distraction techniques that will send someone off on a paper trail that leads nowhere.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
And I wonder if, if you believe, I believe in non-human intelligence. I think that is totally real.
I've seen enough with my own eyes, man.
Totally.
I've had orbs hover over my house.
There you go. So that's a firsthand experience that you have to trust. Sir. And I am somewhat sympathetic to the three body problem narrative in that, like, I think science is much weirder than meets the eye,
Right.
and if it pattern matches to revelation when
Yeah.
these scientists have their
Yeah.
discoveries. So I wonder if they have their own counter intel for some of this science.
Possibly,
and
right?
it's disseminated in this slow drip. And it's not maybe the
Pairing.
Philip Corso clean narrative where it's like just based on metamaterials that
No.
reverse engineering. It's more like mental, like you get
Yeah,
a
dude.
download for a thing and then it gets like
And
unlocked.
where did that come from? Exactly. Yeah, I find that interesting. It's not just us that might be doing the op. It might be
Yes.
something else
No.
that's doing the op.
Well,
like-
it's funny. Eric Davis, went in front of Congress or whatever, and the whole thing was kind of this weird dog and pony show. I think Congress is like sort of really
they
dumb on
weren't,
a lot of this
it
stuff.
wasn't that good.
But my favorite line from his, and I have disagreements with him, a la on the Brown stuff, but like my favorite statement of him was he goes, "The NHI are controlling disclosure," which I loved, and that's fucking true, man. I don't
Yeah.
think like that's why
Well, do you remember Obama on
what did he say?
on his like Jimmy Kimmel? And it's like, you do it with a smile, but what are you really saying? Where he's like, the aliens won't let it happen. They
Oh,
they
that's
exercise
funny.
strict control over us.
Wait. Well, I have a
You know,
crazy story
something
about
that
it.
much,
Yeah. It's off time now.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
before you- Okay.
Wait.
My crazy story on that is I have a friend who I think heard from Eddie Vedder, the Pearl Jam guy.
Uh-huh.
He was at a campfire with Obama.
Oh, no shit.
And
Here we
like
go.
everybody was kind of wasted or something. And and he was like, dude, I gotta know like what's actually going on. And Obama goes, read The Three Body Problem.
No shit.
Yes.
No shit.
Yes.
Wow.
And
man.
Obama's now his production company is doing a movie on Betty and Barney Hill. And talk about
and-
predictive programming.
And they did the Leave the World
Leave
Behind.
the world behind.
which
Like the
is
grid goes down. Like
basically the step by step to destabilize a
Exactly.
nation. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Go on, brother. We got for us.
So the three-body problem, as
Just
far
strap
as
in.
as far as the impossibility of fast and light, I don't buy, or the dark forest thing. That's some
Yeah.
bullshit from psychopath serpent race people. But the Sophons, remember the Sophons?
Yeah. The
That's
Sophons.
they were using atoms
Coming
to,
into the CERN and messing
make
up our
you not-
fundamental physics. And
They're
like,
called
yeah.
Sophons. Is that not the guy who told what's his name about Atlantis? Sophon?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, Sophon told.
Oh no, Solon.
Solon. My bad.
Oh, so yeah,
Yeah.
Solon.
But the Sophons, the thing, Mark Andreessen in an interview with Barry Weiss, he said he wanted to work on AI, and they go, no, don't bother. We're only going to let 2 or 3 guys do it and do like, a state capitalist fake
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And he goes,
we can
he goes,
classify
what do you
the map,
mean? And he goes,
classify the
yeah,
physics.
we classified a whole area of physics.
Back in the Cold War, no problem.
Now in your
do
school,
it again.
yeah, in your
Yeah, yeah.
school, the 3 states of matter I learned, water and steam and ice. But plasma, which is the 4th state of matter, we didn't really get into that ever.
No, we don't. And that's where a lot of secrecy lies.
And you did something on Kenneth's shoulder, exotic vacuum object.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like, I can't really claim that I did it. I've had some guests on, like a pretty mysterious guy called Mr. X.
That's right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That was back in the day. That was when I was first getting
These are
linked
these
up with
plasmoids.
Richard Dolan and Mr. X, who just doesn't want to be named. He's not a government guy. He's a savant. He really is a savant. He did so much work on EVOs, exotic vacuum objects, and it's like self-organizing plasma. And like, if you want to hear like deep dives into the technicalities of what plasma might be, like check out my oldest interviews with Mr. X from like 4 years back, 5 years back. Like that dude's a fountain of knowledge. But like the Sapphire Project and things like this that popped up for a bit. Like, we're bottling the stars, we're doing it, bloop, gone.
Yeah.
Hal Puthoff got involved with that project for a little bit.
Right.
Sapphire.
He's got his hands
Just
in
saying.
everything. He's always showing up.
Your story about first of all, Peru. I didn't know you just went to Peru. That's fucking wild.
Yeah,
dude.
down
Yeah,
road,
that was
yeah.
great.
That's where we get the name. Did they talk about Amaru at all?
Amaru.
Their god
Oh no, not too
that
much.
America's named after.
Oh
Ooh.
wow. Is that true?
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, Amerigo Vespucci changed his name to be more like that, not
No
the other way
shit.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to Peru?
No, my good friend
It's
is
on my
from
list,
there,
man. I
from,
need to go out there.
You gotta go.
I got a
you guys
really good
ever want
buddy
to
from
check
there
out the mummies?
who used to tell me
Yeah,
crazy
right,
stuff
right.
about it all the time. I didn't believe him back then because
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe none of this stuff. I would be like dismissive of all the things that you're saying like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I go, there's nothing.
Were you like a normie back in the day?
You to a degree.
Really? I can't.
I was
picture-
a
I don't
minister.
mean either,
I used to
bro.
be a Jehovah's Witness. I was a minister.
Right.
I stopped when I was 20.
Really?
I read the Bible.
Damn, you were a minister.
Yeah, everybody knocks on your door, you get baptized as a minister.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Shit, man.
but I
What
read the
woke you
Bible
up?
quite a lot.
What woke you up? What took you out?
Yeah.
Of this?
Of that?
Yeah.
Oh, pussy. It was just pussy. It wasn't any. But you have to understand, if I believe something and I'm in a cult, okay? And the only reason I call them a cult is because you actually have to do the religion. That's the only reason I call it a cult.
Right.
So my definition is different than a lot of people's. I always want to be Catholic because you don't have to do it. You know? Oh, that must be fun.
Just say you're sorry when you die.
But you couldn't have talked me out of it. You couldn't have talked me out of it. You could show me all the evidence. You don't leave the cult till it don't work for you the way they said it was going to work for you. They tell you it's the answer to everything. All the answers. And then when it don't work, that's when you go out of it, okay? So that's when I left. Now, that thing you said about the underground, the ant people, and I didn't know they said they were sinister.
They did that particular tribe did. They were just like, don't fuck with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, okay, so this is what I'm talking about, metaphorical overlays, okay?
Right.
So they're underground. Now, I think the little grays are some type of homunculus. If you ever looked at Greta Thunberg, that's the evolutionary pattern of us.
Patient zero, right there.
Well, she's a completely astroturf construct. Why would I care about anything about her? Because they made that.
Yeah, she was grown in like a World Economic Forum vat.
It's just vegan too
Something
early.
like that.
So,
poured
vegan,
into a mold.
Basically, but vegan too early is the same difference, okay? So they went underground. So, these AI freaks like that creep with the hair lip that made bait little Sophia.
Oh, yeah. Sophia.
Little Baphomet.
The
He went with Epstein to Africa to map kids' brains.
Of course he did.
What?
Yeah, and he used a doll called Little Sophia, this creepy-ass doll. It was like, to make him think about STEM.
Also, Sophia is a Gnostic reference.
That's right, for wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom. And it spies on your underage daughter as it excites her about STEM. It was crazy, okay? Like, full speed ahead. All these AI guys goes, oh, yeah, it's going to be terrible when AI... do you watch these tech guys talk? It's insane.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, first it's going to suck.
Yeah.
They've all built underground bunkers, you might
Yeah, they're
have
ready
heard.
for that shit.
Yeah, the ant people you might have heard from those.
Right.
You seeing the commonalities here?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of rich, high-tech people that are going to transhuman you. You're going to be half an iPhone. Yay! And then it's going to suck, and they're going to go underground when shit floods again.
And then they'll come back up and teach the rest of us how to live again. Yeah, well, shit, dude.
So look for themes.
Yeah, man.
The details, I don't believe or not believe. That don't nothing to do with nothing. You could lie to me. I want to know a new thing I ain't heard yet that don't make me bored.
Would you guys ever get Neuralink?
No.
I would never get it.
No. I interviewed the guy that got the first one.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
Yeah.
Arbaugh.
Nolan Arbaugh, something like that. Because he had a couple that went loose.
Whoa.
A couple of
the first
threads
one,
that went loose,
first one?
but he was the first one. Very first one.
The real first one's in 1970.
Right, yeah.
Leonard Kyle worked for Polaroid. He was very jealous of his girlfriend or something, and he went to a therapist to help him with that. And unfortunately, his psychologist worked for the CIA, and they put a chip in his skull without telling him.
What?
Because Carlos Delgado has that. You ever see the video of the bull, and they can stop its aggression? They can make it not violent. Carlos Delgado of CIA, great. And okay, this is wild. They put it in his head. It was a disaster. And the microwaves that are beaming the shit to the head were giving him horrible pain. He's a real smart guy.
Yeah.
It turns his brain to Joe Biden soup. He ends up in a booby hatch. People go to visit him. I'm telling you the truth. He has a metal garbage can on his head because even though he's crazy, he's smart enough to know it blocks what they're doing.
Right.
Oh,
So ready? Wait for the punchline, dude.
The tinfoil
So
hat.
then they started giving him tinfoil instead.
No shit.
And that's where we get
you get it.
tinfoil hat
Nah.
from the CIA mutilating an American citizen.
Whoa.
And it's a big joke now. Isn't that funny?
Is that true?
I just told you it's true 3 times.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I like to dress up like a clown and tell people these things because they can't believe it. Did you like my Hannibal directed shirt that I wore? My old band, Google it.
Nice.
Yeah, so
I can't believe
tinfoil hat, a thing we mock, was someone mutilated by Intel service. But they're going to tell you the truth about UFOs. I'm sure they will.
Oh, you were a minister.
Yeah.
That's wild. But could you imagine his fucking what do you call it?
You guys hit like 3 things that I'm like, oh my God. It was like fascinating, like hearing this shit. Like, because I know a lot of this shit too, but.
Well, we go to dinner tonight.
Yeah, we'll go to dinner. There's little pieces. And I just, like I said, I don't care who anybody likes.
Yeah.
Right.
Or what do I give a shit? I just want data.
Just give me data.
And I'm going to get that data.
Yeah, man.
However I got to get it, I'm going to find it. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, but I am.
I hate you on that.
Yeah. And so people are going to, as soon as you, who here, raise your hand, if someone from somewhere like DOD or was it DID? Someone from one of the 3-letter agencies maybe met you somewhere and go, hey, I just want to tell you, like, you're about 80% right, your analysis. Because I've heard someone else.
That's happened to me a bunch of times.
I've had
it's happened to you a bunch of times.
Did you get a nice 80%? The guy said to me.
Well, I got told that I was flagged as a Russian disinformation platform by the DOD, apparently, but
no way.
They're still letting me in the country, so.
What do you
You were flagged as Russian disinformation?
According to someone who had like contacts in the DOD who said, oh yeah, no, we love Project Unity, but we can't actually watch it because it's been flagged as a Russian disinformation platform. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I was relayed.
I have a bunch of like Twitter bots calling me Russian disinfo. I'm like, what are you?
The moment I open my mouth,
I'm fun to buy guitar myself.
Yeah, I've seen you saying that, dude. Like, I've seen you saying that shit. Yeah, no, I mean, like, you know, I think at a certain point when you talk about these kind of subjects and you hit a certain perception and everyone's like, oh, he's controlled opposition. Oh, he's this, he's that, he's the other. I've heard it about you as well, bro. So like, I know the people.
Oh, it's all over
rumors.
Reddit.
What you learn is the way this system works.
Yeah, dude.
A lot of I'm not calling anybody perpetrator, but perpetrators are victims as well of it. That's how the pyramid system works. The whole reason way it's designed is the compartmentalization levels are so that you don't know anything. So people go, oh, he knows that guy. I know all kinds of rich, famous people. That don't mean shit. Dude, Jack Krause, who I think is very good info, thinks Rogan's a honey trap.
Right.
Yeah, Rogan's called controlled opposition
all the time. All the
don't
time.
listen to none of that.
No,
you know a tree
I don't
by
need
its
to, bro.
fruit. So what are the fruits of what you produced? Does it go nowhere or did I learn from it? That's all I'm looking at.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's why it's like Dark Journalist has called me that before. And I'm
Wow,
like,
has he?
I'm
Yeah,
like, dude,
yeah.
like, you are into the Townsend Brown stuff, and I went way deeper on the same shit.
Right.
You are. Where's the daylight
Right.
between us? Like, if you can give me substance on like how I'm doing, it's just weird.
It's thrown out there pretty, fragrantly, just like.
It kind of is, yeah.
Everybody does it.
And I get it. I get it. But sometimes it's like, sometimes it's true, and then sometimes it's some keyboard warrior Reddit mushy brain bullshit.
Which is most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Have no
Fuck
ego.
boy
You
in
have to
mum's
dissolve your
basement.
ego
Like,
to do this.
Yeah,
That's what they teach you in them things.
But that's another thing. There's just too many people trying to LARP as spooks and spies, and they want to be, I'm close to the insiders. I've got information. It's like you are the most easy to fuck with. You realize that, right? That you're so desperate to be involved with these people. They love it because they'll just feed you full of bullshit, kick you out into the world, and say, "Go preach."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many of them.
Yeah.
So many of them. You've got to be really discerning in this subject. And that's something that I've done as well. I've made mistakes. I've had people on, like, there was that DARPA dude that I had on. Turned out to not be from DARPA because I got a fucking email from DARPA.
Yeah.
I got emailed by the security manager of DARPA who was like, I'm really sorry to email you, but we've just seen your video and this guy has never
work
worked
at
for DARPA.
Who is it?
Michael Moran. Yeah, watch out for that motherfucker. He's a Scientologist, I think. He's just like out there trying to spread his like agenda. But I was actually, I won't say who told me he was DARPA, but it was someone that I actually did trust. He was in the IC, who we've brought up his name on this show. And he was like, oh, no, you need to get him on.
Whoa.
And I just didn't do my due diligence, got him on, and then boom, turns out he's full of shit.
If you
know what I mean?
cover this stuff, you're going to swing at some
You're
bad
going to swing at some bad, exactly.
I've definitely gotten
And
shit wrong.
The healthiest thing to do as a normal person is just to go, I got. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I got. And so many people refuse to like do that. And we're just like,
you gotta be like, I got stuff
I was
wrong.
being fucked with by the internet. It's like, no, just admit you made a mistake.
Yeah,
You're doing real work.
Yeah.
You're gonna get fucked
You're
with
gonna
by
get fucked
intel.
up. Exactly.
I don't
bro.
care if you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could be wrong. Who made up this thing? You can't be wrong like that.
Like
dipshit.
Exactly.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, the Nazis are going to come to use the Atlantis. Remember that shit?
Yeah, dude. Like
that's an obvious op to smear you.
You're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah. So I care if you lied to me. Joe Rogan, who's not a scientist, he didn't make a single mistake about COVID. Not one.
Nah, he was crushing it.
It was pretty rare.
So
He was crushing
all
it.
the people that talk about science to me, I want to know if you got your booster.
Yeah,
and I want to
yeah,
know
yeah.
if women have dicks or not. Okay? Neil
That's
deGrasse
yeah,
Tyson.
we need to establish a
Before
baseline
you
of
look down on a
sensibility.
flat earther,
100%, bro.
Tell me if women have dicks. Oh, they do? I guess anything's possible.
They're all as fucking crazy as each other, but I get what you're saying.
It's just we live in a dog eat dog. It's the Hobbes Leviathan. The system set up. It's how you divide the population to rule that.
But that's what I think the judo move is. The failure mode on what we're talking about is caring too much about the disinfo or the intel or whatever, where it's like the cool thing is to just be in your like locally good positive bubble and just search for truth. And just do your thing.
Well, that's honestly, again, that's why I've stepped a bit away from UFOs and that kind of subject, because it's just like full to the brim with intelligence, spies, and spooks. And it's like, I find it really refreshing to be looking at ancient history. And not only is there like an actual data trail, but no one's trying to fuck with me in the same level. Like, no one's trying to influence my stuff as much as they were when I was doing UFOs. And I just feel like there's really good signatures in ancient history to say, like, the models are wrong. Like there's evidence that the models are wrong. Whereas
Right.
with UFOs, even though I've literally got into a meditative state and made requests for something to turn up and had orange orbs float down and hover above my house, which is why I created my YouTube channel in the first place.
Yeah.
Picked up a camera phone, put it on a tree branch, and was like, hey guys, I'm a person. This happened to me. And then suddenly you get thrown into this world of like espionage and spooks and spies, and it's exciting. But you come out on the end of that and you're like, I didn't actually learn anything from these guys. Like, you know what I mean?
Lost, like J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
Lost.
dude. So like, I find it refreshing to step into another subject where it's like, there's an anomaly, there's something to look at here, but there's actually some pretty good evidence for it. And then it ties into the Anunnaki, the Sumerians, or the Watchers. It's like, there's a connection.
Yeah.
But this modern stuff just feels like it's been CIA sealed and packaged to send out to us to just kind of like regurgitate.
There's a lot of that, but push back slightly. Like
Go ahead.
Robert Hastings and the nuclear stuff, like extremely grounded patterns of like these guys who, if you speak to any of these Q cleared guys,
Right.
they don't have any counterintel background.
Yeah, no,
you
not
know?
all of them. I'm not throwing every single
now,
one.
you're saying?
I'm not throwing every single one of them under the bus. Not at all. But I just
Yeah.
feel like the UFO community
And
is
even Harold-
specifically populated with a lot of intelligence
yeah.
influence. You
Yeah,
have to be
it's
so
all
careful
over.
who you
Yeah, yeah.
trust, who you listen to.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and it's what I don't like about it is it's like there are like channels that are seemed like I always the thing that's made me uncomfortable about this year is I want to off myself as some like I don't want anybody to see me. That's why I have Kurt on my show.
I have no
It's because-
respectability.
no, this is beautiful.
That's
it'll
the key to everything.
it'll give me
right.
it'll give me a healthy taste,
Little
which is
refreshment.
which is a
I
prophylactic.
destroyed your career today.
Fantastic. No, I think it's great because it's like you don't want to be the
right.
guy.
No, you don't.
Want, it's the
No.
worst position
No,
ever.
you don't, because then you'll just get shot down the moment you make a mistake. Or
Yeah,
an error, or, you know,
yeah.
no, exactly. And that's
And
it's
it's-
good to interdisperse the seriousness with a bit of fucking levity.
Take
Yeah,
the heckle
yeah.
because just from being on the stage, dude, if
Yeah.
you're going to get your feelings hurt, you
Yeah.
don't. I'm a clown for a living, so
Yeah.
I don't get to have dignity, you know?
Yeah.
So what happens online, and by the way, it's part of the DARPA, we want to talk about DARPA bullshit,
Right.
to get you pulled into a nonsense spinning samsara endless wheel.
Mhm.
That's very much like the cycle of reincarnation.
Right.
And you're in a prison and you got to go back. All these spiritual things, unified field theory is as above, so below, I think.
Yeah, no. Yeah, for
Because you
sure.
can scale this shit up and down.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can see what the picture is. But you got to look at other shit. Dude, I read the Bible a lot, and me trying to reconcile all these different things, then you
Right,
start to
right.
see. And once you know who gets paid for doing what, you could start putting it together.
Yeah, dude.
It's not beyond you to put it together. It's not.
100%.
On that beautiful note,
Damn, how long have we been going for?
we've been going for
Dude,
a
my girl's
minute.
mad. She had an
Yeah,
orb
it's like
experience, and she's impatient with this.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Dude,
guys,
it's crazy. Yeah.
It's been dope.
Jay Anderson, Project Unity, Kurt Metzger.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Dude, good to
thank-
meet you. I got
Yeah,
actually
you
like
too,
20
man.
questions, dude.
That was
We'll link
awesome.
up later for a meal or something. Yeah.
Hell yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
dinner. Appreciate you guys. That was
Yeah, that was really good.
crazy.